Chapter 2403. Honey, aren't we being too extravagant? Huamin's voice was slightly shaky as she turned her head and pressed her cheek against Qin Chu's handsome side profile. Honey, we're already being very low-key. Qin Chu whispered in her ear. Indeed, for a CEO with a net worth of hundreds of billions of yuan to give his beloved wife a sea of roses on Valentine's Day, he was already being very low-key. Every year on Valentine's Day, there would be news that would make the headlines. For example, a rich man gave a million-yuan sports car to chase after a female lead. For example, a rich woman chased after a male idol and booked all the advertising spots in the city to show her love. For example, a rich man chased after a female straight-A student who came back from abroad with a high degree. He even used a helicopter and threw money at her. Tens of thousands of people fought over her. Compared to those people who liked to play to the gallery, Qin Chu's approach was indeed much more low-key. Most importantly, it was his style. It's so beautiful here. It feels like a fairy tale. Huamin felt like she was dreaming as she looked at the sea of roses in front of her. Honey, I'm sorry that I missed Valentine's Day for 4 years. But from now on, I won't miss it again. Qin Chu thought about how he was recovering in the States and felt very guilty towards Huamin. Hey, let's not talk about the past. You have your reasons and you don't want to be separated from me. I don't blame you, just cherish what you have now. I'm very easy to satisfy, really. I don't want anything else in this life. I just want to be with you and the twins as they grow up. If there's a chance, I also want to be reunited with Yen and Dad. My life will be complete. Huamin made a beautiful wish. I will. Don't worry, I will make all of your wishes come true. Qin Chu hugged Huamin tightly as he thought about the wish he made when he was young. His biggest wish in life was to help Huamin fulfill her wishes. Whether she wanted to be a doctor or find her family, he would do everything for her. The two of them sat at a long dining table by the cliff of the glass room. Qin Chu ordered the servants to prepare steak and red wine. The atmosphere was very good. Huamin hadn't drunk in a long time, so she was especially excited today. She took the initiative to pour herself a cup. Honey, I'm happy today, can I drink a little more? Huamin stuck out her tongue and asked Qin Chu's permission. Sure. Wow, this is great, I haven't been in such a good mood in a long time. So drinking really depends on your mood. I want to be a drunkard today, and then you can carry me home, haha. Okay. Qin Chu looked at the childish Huamian gently, and his heart was filled with warmth. Huamin, who had always been low-key, took out her phone and started taking selfies. Chapter 2404. Zhu Lingling, what the fuck, what did I just see? Are those roses? They're blinding my 24K aluminum eyes. Jiang Shaowei, no wonder we couldn't get any roses. President Qin bought all of them. He's so rich. Wei Liao, you two are so lovey-dovey. Even a married man like me can't stand it. Gao Ran, people who don't show off their love are the scariest. Because when they do, it's their ultimate move. They're going to destroy us anytime. Jixin, sis, those are roses. No wonder I couldn't get any. Can you sell me 99 roses? I'm waiting online. Ni Young, me too. Cici, wow, it's a sea of flowers. Mian, I have to criticize you. How can you take pictures of such a beautiful scene? Pouting and acting cute is outdated. Bella, President Qin is so cool. Young, you can tell when the boss makes a move. Boss, you're the boss after all. You're so cool. Little Bean, wow, what did I just see? Daddy and Mommy not only snuck out to have some alone time, but they're also playing the romance of the century. I bet 10 packs of Oreos that our little brother or sister is about to show up. Pudding, I give full marks to Daddy for this surprise. It's amazing. He's so arrogant. Other than Mommy, no other woman can get roses tonight. Then, jade, agate, beeswax, clam, Buddhist beads, jade bracelets. Then, Huamian listed all the precious jewelry she had. However, Mr. Chin still shook his head. Huh? None of them. Then, is it food? Huamin asked. Honey, if you can ask this question, it means that your IQ is not as good as it used to be. Chin Chu said in all seriousness. Ha 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 ha. Huamin couldn't help but laugh. Don't give up, keep guessing. Chin Chu continued to encourage her. Ah, it's really too hard. Let me think, is it an antique? Is it something you were so busy buying at the auction? Huamin's imagination went wild and expanded the scope of the question. None of them. This is something you really like. I promise that you'll be very happy when you see it. Chin Chu purposely acted mysterious, making Huamin's heart itch. Ah, honey, please, tell me, I really want to know. Huamin finally begged for mercy. Until the day before their high school graduation, they originally planned to go abroad together, but Huamin completely broke up with Chin Chu because of her stepfather's car accident. At the graduation ceremony, she publicly announced that she was breaking up with Chin Chu. From then on, Huamian was just a passerby. In order to make Chin Chu give up, she pulled the pair of rose hairpins off her head in front of all her classmates and fiercely threw them on the ground. The rose petals instantly shattered, just like Chin Chu's heart. It hurt so much that it couldn't heal. Later on, Huamin turned and left, leaving Chin Chu all alone. Chapter 2406. He knelt down and picked up the scattered roses. For the first time in his life, he felt so sad that he couldn't breathe. Then, Chin Chu went abroad, and they parted for 7 years. The stories of his youth were always like strong wine. They came strong and left indifferently. Many years later, Huamin would still feel guilty whenever she thought about what she did. She would regret destroying the gift that was so important to her. Now that Chin Chu presented it to her with both hands, how could Huamin not be moved and shed tears? The reason for that was because to the two of them, that item held extraordinary significance. It was extremely important. Honey, where did you get this thing? Back then, Before Huamin could finish her sentence, she paused. If Chin Chu had someone redo it or buy it, it would have looked brand new. It wouldn't have looked so old like it was now. Therefore, Huamin made a bold guess. This was the pair of hair clips that she broke back then. As expected, Chin Chu nodded and said, after you broke it, I carefully picked it up and kept it with me. Last night, after you fell asleep, I went to the study and glued it back together. Although it's not as new as before, it's still the same. Nothing can replace it. Huamin carefully took out the hair clips, placed them in her hands, and gently stroked them. Then, she couldn't help but cry. Don't cry, we should be happy. Chin Chu picked up a tissue and gently wiped Huamin's tears. Yes, we should be happy. Honey, did you know? Out of all the gifts you gave me, this is my favorite. Huamin's voice trembled as she looked up at Chin Chu. I know. Chin Chu's tone was gentle. Then do you know why this is my favorite? Huamin asked again. Because when I was a student, I bought it with the money I earned from playing piano for a day. I didn't use my parents' money. Chin Chu seemed to know Huamin very well. Huamin excitedly held on to Chin Chu's arm and nodded. Yes, because you used your own money. You're such an arrogant person, but you were willing to play piano for a day just to buy me a gift. Do you know how I felt when Gao Ran told me? Chin Chu gently stroked Huamin's long hair with a smile. I'm thinking, I want to cherish a man who's willing to lower himself for me and love me for the rest of my life. Huamian couldn't help but burst into tears again. Wow! Dr. Hua, are you confessing to me again? Chin Chu teased her. Honey, thank you for letting me see it again. I thought I would never get it back. Huamin sobbed as she leaned into Chin Chu's arms. Don't cry. Here, let me put it on for you. Chin Chu carefully wiped away Huamin's tears. Then, he picked up 2 hairpins and put them on Huamin's hair. Huamin lovingly reached out to touch the hairpins on her head as if she had received a precious gift. I told you you would be happy to see it. Chin Chu smiled from the bottom of his heart. Yes, even after so many years, it's still my favorite gift. Huamin said as she stood up and hugged Chin Chu's broad waist tightly. Then, she kissed him deeply. Chapter 2407. The 12 roses I prepared, each one as beautiful as you. Your beauty is silent, unknowingly making me follow you. Baby, this time I'm in love, I'm at a loss, but I don't regret it. In such a beautiful glass room by the cliff, looking at the roses blooming all over the sky. With a precious gift on my head, I'm listening to such a touching old song. Huamin suddenly felt that if time stopped at this moment, she would be the happiest person in the world. Originally, it wasn't big news that no one could buy roses in the city, but Huamin posted the roses on her WeChat moments. One person spread 10, and 10 people spread 100, and this news spread. Some media outlets began to report on it, and on Valentine's Day, all the media outlets were reporting on it. GK's president and his wife show their love in a low-key manner, buying all the roses in a domineering manner. I'm going to buy all the roses, so no one can buy roses. Chin Chu's beloved wife proclamation. A sea of roses for the love of his life, Chin clan couple show their love to a new level. The clear water wrinkles because of the wind, green mountains never grow old, rich people have true love. Rich people have true love. President Chin Chu bought all the roses in the city to make his wife smile, just to give her a different Valentine's Day present. In short, the chicken soup for the soul on WeChat moments that night were all soft posts. Huamin and Chin Chu appeared on the news again, although they really didn't want to be high profile. Huamin didn't realize that her WeChat moments was about to explode until she and Chin Chu were on their way back from dinner. Many fans even left comments on Weibo, making her feel helpless. Imperial Star headquarters, Suyu didn't deliberately work overtime, but he did have 2 meetings in a row, and it was already 7 p.m. when he got off work. Seeing that it was too late, he didn't pick up the twins. After sending Pudding a WeChat message, he drove away from the company within Valentine's Day, which was full of single people on the streets, was really uncomfortable for a single person like him. Even at the old mansion, his parents would go out on romantic dates and have candlelight dinners. His friends were also in pairs. He opened his WeChat moments. Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei were deeply in love with each other. Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling showed their love for each other. Chin Chu and Huamin were deeply in love with each other. Ni Yang and Chen Jia showed off their love. Even the unreliable Master Tang, who was previously a playboy, didn't forget to show off his love when he was changing planes. What kind of world was this, President Su? Are you in a bad mood? And looked at Suyu with a straight face. I suddenly feel like drinking, but unfortunately, it's hard to find someone who can drink. Old Wei is at home with his wife. Tang Chuan, that brat, went to America with his girlfriend, President Su. How about? I drink with you, and said quietly. If you're drunk too, who's going to protect me? Suyu joked. And, okay, I'm just joking with you. Let's go, I'm tired from working overtime. Let's go get a drink. Suyu didn't deliberately make fun of An. When they passed by D Zoo nightclub, he parked his car in front of the entrance. After Rick left, Seductive Fox's business wasn't as good as before, and Tang Chuan didn't manage it well either. Therefore, all the rich heirs and rich people came to the newly opened D Zoo. It was Suyu's first time here, but everyone in the nightclub knew who he was. Lord Su is here. Please come in. The lobby manager looked as if he saw the god of fortune and invited Suyu and An inside. Chapter 2408. Lord Su reserved the best private room for you. It's on the top floor. It's okay, it's just the two of us. The private room is too big. Let's just sit at the bar for a while. It'll be lively. Suyu waved his hand. He walked into the bar with An, and the manager opened a booth for them. The bar was very lively. Waves of explosive disco music were playing, and men and women in revealing clothes were twisting their bodies under the flashing lights. Without Suyu's instructions, the manager ordered people to bring in a lot of drinks and fruit plates. And if you like any girl, go and flirt with her yourself. Ha! Don't be shy, don't suppress yourself, Suyu said as he ate sunflower seeds. It's okay, President Su. I'm not that lucky. And shook his head. He wanted to sit here for a while and then leave, but he didn't expect to see an acquaintance here. Big brother Suyu, a clear female voice called out. Suyu turned his head and saw Wei Ying. Beside her stood a tall girl. Why are you here? Suyu asked. Ha, I'm single too. I'm here with my friends. Why are you here? Wei Ying had a lot of bad friends and had a lot of fun, but she didn't expect to see Suyu here. After all, he wouldn't easily come to a place with so many people. Oh, nothing, I'm just here to see. Suyu was close to Wei Liao, so he had known Wei Ying since they were young. Wei Ying would also call him Big Brother when they met. Then, can we share a table with you? Wei Ying asked with a smile. Up to you. Suyu nodded with a bottle of beer in his hand. Wei Ying immediately led the girl to Suyu's table. Let me introduce you to my good friend, Zhang Wanyu. She's an internet celebrity. She's the most popular streamer on a live streaming platform and has tens of millions of fans. She's even been on a TV show. Wei Ying strongly recommended her best friend. Hello, young Master Su. The girl looked gentle and had the standard face of an internet celebrity. She was indeed very good-looking, but she wasn't easily recognizable. She might not be able to recall anything after a glance. Suyu nodded and didn't say anything. He just looked at the center of the dance floor. Wanyu. Haven't you always wanted to achieve enlightenment? My brother, Suyu, is a media tycoon. Most of the popular actresses were groomed by him. Do you know Nia Lingxian? She's an actress from Imperial Star, Wei Ying said proudly. I know. Young Master Su has always been the idol of many of us girls. The girl shyly looked at Suyu and smiled. Big brother Suyu, is it true that you're with the new star, Nia Lingxian? Wei Ying asked casually. Of course not, Suyu replied indifferently. Ha, I knew it. If you were really in a relationship, my brother would know. But when I asked him the other day, he said it wasn't. But you've been single for a few years now, right? Haven't you thought about getting a girlfriend or something? Chapter 2409. Before Hua Xiqian could speak, Wei Ying said, I heard that Qin Chu bought out all the roses to give his wife a surprise. TSK, he's so arrogant, as if he's the only rich one. Why does he have to be so ostentatious? Big brother Suyu is so rich, but I don't see him flaunting his wealth. To be honest, I'm starting to despise them more and more. Sometimes I think they're so hypocritical. Wei Ying didn't like Huamin because of Hui Yanyan's relationship with Hui Yanyan. However, she ignored Su Yu's feelings for Huamin, therefore, she didn't even notice the subtle changes on Su Yu's face when she spoke without thinking. And gave her a few looks, but she didn't see it at all. I heard that she went to a third-rate university. She didn't even study abroad. She's a country bumpkin, and she's a doctor. How can she be compared to my sister-in-law? My sister-in-law got her doctorate from overseas. She's a famous psychologist, and even the leaders of the Municipal Public Security Bureau have to be polite to her. Plus, her parents are both famous professors. Huamin should look at himself in the mirror. How can he show off his love on Valentine's Day? In my opinion, she's going to be a mistress sooner or later. After all, it's taboo for a woman to not have a son after marrying into a rich family. Qin Chu will have another woman sooner or later. When that happens, she'll cry her heart out. Wei Ying had always been vicious with her words, but because they hadn't interacted much before, so you didn't have any conflicts with her. Now, she was so arrogant that she insulted Huamin in front of Suyu. She had crossed the line with Suyu. And stared at his boss cautiously and saw that his boss's face was turning green. However, Wei Ying was still talking with relish. And broke out in cold sweat for her. After Wei Ying finished, she looked at Suyu gleefully. Big brother Suyu, am I right? Wei Ying was jealous because she heard that Qin Chu bought all the roses because he loved his wife. She was jealous, so she spoke viciously. I think Huamian gave birth to 2 girls, but you didn't have any children after you married into the Shin family. Don't call me the pot calling the kettle black, Suyu said slowly. Big brother Suyu, what are you talking about? Wei Ying understood what he was talking about. Suyu brought up the fact that she didn't have any children after marrying into the Shin family. Everyone in the Wei family knew that this was Wei Ying's sore spot. Women. You shouldn't be so vicious. How much pain do you have in your heart that you can't bear to see other people living well? Huamin doesn't have a degree or looks, what does that have to do with you? Does it bother you? You're making it sound like you're very close to her. You even brought up your sister-in-law. I used to think that Shen Mingxi was wrong to divorce you because he didn't want you. After all, you've given your heart to him. It's very pitiful that you were forced into a divorce. Now I understand. He made the right choice by not wanting you. Any normal man wouldn't want a woman like you. After all, no one wants to cause trouble for themselves. Wei Ying was dumbfounded by Su Yu's words. Chapter 24:10. Big Brother Su Yu. She wasn't prepared for this at all when Su Yu scolded her. Don't keep calling me Big Brother Su Yu. I'm only talking to you because I'm giving your brother face. But don't be so shameless. Then, Su Yu got up, kicked the chair he was sitting on, and left. And stood up and followed him silently, seeing the boss's livid face, and knew that if Wei Ying wasn't Wei Liao's biological sister and a woman, he would have been furious. The boss would have been furious. Ying. What's wrong? Why did you piss young Master Su off? Aren't you guys close? The internet celebrity asked in a low voice. How the fuck would I know? Wei Ying roared, feeling wronged. Walking out of the bar, Su wasn't in the mood at all. And, take me back to my mansion and drive my car home. Pick me up tomorrow morning. Okay, boss. Seeing his boss in a bad mood, and didn't dare to say more. He drove Suyu back to his private mansion. When Suyu came out of the shower, he saw a lot of messages on WeChat. Most of them were red packets and blessings from artists in the company and some from friends in the industry. Su clicked on them and saw Nie Lingshuan's red packet. It was 520 yuan. He frowned slightly and sent Nie Lingxian a red packet. It was 888 yuan. Thank you, President Su. After receiving the red packet, Nie Lingxian sent a smiley face. She seemed to be in a good mood. Work hard. The company won't mistreat you. You're a smart woman. I hope you won't follow in Jian Tong's footsteps. Su rarely spoke to female artists. Nie Lingxian fell into deep thought when she heard the last sentence. She didn't know what Su meant. Was he asking her not to be as scheming and high-profile as Jian Tong or not to pester him like Jian Tong? Rest early, President Su. Good night. Nie Lingxian didn't dare to say more and only said good night quietly. Su did not reply to her. Su took out his phone and scrolled through his WeChat moments. Then, he repeatedly looked at Huomin's profile picture. It was a family photo of the four of them. She didn't know when it was taken, but the family of four was wearing national clothes. Qin Chu was wearing a green robe, and Huomin was wearing a green cheongsam. Her hair was combed into a vintage bun, which made her look exceptionally elegant. The two little fellows were also wearing the uniform of the Republic of China. They were identical little cheongsams, which were extremely cute. Such a happy family of four, Su sighed slightly. After thinking for a long time, he opened Huomin's profile picture. She typed, "Happy Valentine's Day." But after writing it, he felt that it was inappropriate and deleted it. In the end, he didn't tell Huomin anything. He knew that he should not disturb her. He missed her silently in his heart. Perhaps this was the best for them. Late at night Hua Xiqian's quality of sleep was getting worse and worse. He got up and walked to his study in his luxurious nightgown. He opened his drawer and took out a white bottle of pills. With trembling hands, he took out 3 or 4 pills and swallowed them all. Although the doctor advised him to only take 1 pill a day, 1 pill was no longer effective for him. He had to use more tricks. Hua Xiqian took off his gold-rimmed glasses and sat in front of his desk in the study. Many things had happened recently, especially Mo Shui's death. It made him feel a little guilty. He even thought about it repeatedly. If he didn't support Mo Shui and didn't let her walk down this path, she wouldn't have ended up like this. Ian gave him a month, and the countdown had already begun. So, what was he supposed to do? Mian. My Mian. Tell me, what should I do? Hua Xiqian looked at Huomin's profile picture and muttered to himself. Chapter 24:11. On Valentine's Day, Hua Xiqian didn't do anything. He didn't text or call Huomin. What's more, he didn't give Huomin any gifts. Boss, don't we need to prepare a Valentine's Day gift for Miss Huomin? Hua Xiqian's henchmen all knew about his obsession with Huomin. It's Valentine's Day today. We're not lovers, so I don't need to prepare a gift for her, Hua Xiqian said casually as he played with 2 walnuts in his hand. Yes, yes, yes. You and Miss Hua are family. Of course, you'll love her more than anyone else, the henchman said flatteringly. However, it was very effective. Hua Xiqian smiled. Yes, we'll be family for life. We'll be together forever. The Hua Corporation had been much more low-key lately. Although the police had investigated and monitored them because of the Xiang family incident and Mo Shui's death, they didn't find anything. However, they didn't find anything. Hua Xiqian had been a law-abiding citizen. When Mo Shui died, he even followed the wishes of her fans and held a grand funeral for her. He even gave the Mo family a large sum of money. People who didn't know better would think that Hua Xiqian had changed his career to become a philanthropist. After Huamin and Qin Chu spent some alone time together, it was already past 9 p.m. when they got home. The twins were still awake and playing with their grandparents in the living room. Little Bean had always been the naughty one. She had been playing with the hoverboard that her daddy bought her and was having a lot of fun. Pudding, on the other hand, was bored after playing with it for a while. Then, she leaned on the sofa and played with her phone. Pudding, you can't always play games on your phone. You'll be nearsighted. You'll have to wear glasses. You're so pretty, it'll affect your looks. Grandma tried to scare Pudding. Grandma, I'm not playing games. I'm reading some financial advice. It'll help the stock market tomorrow. Also, can we have surgery to correct nearsightedness? The surgery only takes 20 seconds. It's the best in the US. There's no pain or loss. So, you don't have to worry about us, Pudding comforted her grandma with a smile. This child. Old Madam Qin was also helpless. Grandma, you don't have to persuade Pudding. She's the third smartest person in our family. Other than Daddy and Mommy, no one can control her. Little Bean tried to persuade her grandma as she played with the hoverboard. Old and young children, what a lively scene. You two are so smart. No wonder your grandma said that she can't keep up with your thoughts. It seems that our generation is really old. How is this looking at our granddaughter? It's almost like our granddaughter is looking at us. Mrs. Qin laughed. Look at how smart they are. They don't look like they'll be taken advantage of. Let's not worry about them. Our children and grandchildren will take care of themselves. Grandpa looked at the twins lovingly and sighed. Grandpa, to be honest, have you ever thought about having a grandson? Little Bean mischievously slid the hoverbike in front of her grandpa and wrapped her arms around his neck. Oh, that's an offensive question. I'm not going to answer. Old Master Qin wasn't senile. He knew that it was a trap, so he didn't answer. Grandpa, just say it. I'm not angry. Pudding won't be angry either. We've talked about this in private. Don't think of us as shallow people, okay? How childish would we be if we didn't let our parents have a second child? Little Bean rolled her eyes. Little one, you're smart. Grandma chuckled. Chapter 24:12. To be honest, I'm not in good health. If it weren't for your mommy and daddy who performed several difficult surgeries on me, I wouldn't be alive now. So, I'm very happy to be able to see my two cute granddaughters while I'm still alive. When people reach my age, they know that contentment is the best. Why would I be so greedy and ask for grandchildren? Old Master Qin said with a smile. His father is right. I think so too. Things are fine now. Your daddy and mommy are under a lot of pressure. They're busy with their own things every day. If they don't want to have children, we won't force them. Plus, we don't value boys over girls anymore. Boys and girls are our children. It's all the same, Grandma explained. Okay. It sounds like you're saying that it's great that they come, but you won't regret it if they don't come, right? Little Bean asked. You can say that. Grandpa smiled and picked up his teacup. I think your wish will come true. After all, Mr. and Mrs. Qin have been so lovey-dovey lately. If this continues, you won't have to worry about a second child. Little Bean said like an adult. Her words made Grandpa and Grandma laugh. Even Pudding, who was always calm, couldn't help but snicker. Little Bean, what are you talking about? Huamin pushed open the door and walked in. Oh no. I got caught red-handed. Little Bean immediately covered her mouth and didn't dare to say anything else. Chin Chu walked over and sat down beside Little Bean. He lovingly patted Little Bean's head and asked, "How's the hoverboard?" "It's very easy, okay. After we got it back, my sister and I finished it in 3 minutes," Little Bean bragged. "You took 3 minutes, but I took 45 seconds, okay?" Pudding wasn't convinced. "Chin Zhao Zhao, please don't embarrass me. After all, we were in the same womb." Little Bean felt very embarrassed. "It's okay. I understand." Chin Chu looked at his daughter and smiled. Today's Valentine's Day with someone is so romantic. Where's the sea of flowers? Didn't they move out? Little Bean covered her mouth and snickered. She looked at her mommy and daddy. Huamin deliberately changed the topic. "I think it's time for us to talk about Daddy buying a hovercar for Gao Buiyuan, ahem. Mommy, I'm a little sleepy. I'm going upstairs to take a shower and sleep." "Good night." Embarrassed, Little Bean turned around and ran upstairs. Pudding yawned, put away her phone, and got up. "I'm going to keep an eye on her. Otherwise, she'll fill the bathroom with water again. Good night, Daddy, Mommy. Good night, Grandpa, Grandma." Pudding was relatively calm and had more concerns. After the children went upstairs, Huamin also sat down on the sofa. "Mom, today is Valentine's Day. Did Dad give you a present?" Huamin asked with a smile. "Back then, we didn't celebrate any foreign festivals. It's nothing compared to what you have now. Besides, with your father's wooden fish, how would he know how to give me a present? Basically, he'll give you a credit card. He'll tell you to buy whatever you want," Mrs. Chin complained. Chin Chu put his arms around his mother's neck and sighed. "So Dad's bossy CEO style was popular back then? What are you talking about? Look at the time. You two have work tomorrow, right? Go to bed early." Mr. Chin was embarrassed and lectured them with a straight face. "Did Ning Ning call? Did Uncle Chin tell her that she's going back?" Chin Chu suddenly thought of this. "Ning Ning didn't call, but your second uncle did. He told me about the wedding, but I didn't know what was going on. Call him tomorrow and ask him what's going on." Chin Chu's father carefully tried to recall what happened. "It does smell like her, but we need to test it carefully before we can be sure. I believe that she wanted to kill Hui Xiqian, but unfortunately, something happened to her before we could do anything. Now that she's dead, I don't dare to do anything on my own. However, this incident made me realize that Hui Xiqian does indeed have a mental illness. Maybe it's schizophrenia or something. He must have taken a lot of drugs to suppress it. Otherwise, Mo Shui wouldn't have taken advantage of this, so... What are you trying to say?" Huamin looked at Hui Yanyan and asked calmly. Chapter 24:14. "Hui Xiqian, I know you want to get rid of Hui Xiqian as well. You and Chin Chu have been collecting evidence to bring him to justice and clear his name for Song Yishi's death. But have you thought about it? If he really is mentally ill, he won't be charged with murder. There's a loophole in our country's laws. Mentally ill people won't be held accountable. How do I know if he's faking it or if he's actually mentally ill? That's something that needs to be tested by the medical department. It's not as if he's mentally ill just because he takes a few pills and suffers from insomnia." Huamin thought Hui Yanyan was oversimplifying things. "I don't care if he's mentally ill or not. All I want is to kill him," Hui Yanyan said slowly, her eyes filled with hatred. Seeing the hatred in Hui Yanyan's eyes, Huamin wasn't surprised. She knew from the very beginning that Hui Yanyan didn't spend so much effort to be with Shen Mingxi just because she loved him, nor was it because she wanted to live a luxurious life. Most of it was because she wanted to take revenge on Hua Xiqian. Yan Yan, I know you hate him, and I know you want revenge. But Hua Xiqian isn't that easy to bring down. Hua Mi knew that Hua Xiqian wasn't that easy to deal with after learning about Ian's relationship with Hua Xiqian. Mian, are you softening up? I know Hua Xiqian has always liked you. All these years, even though he's done a lot of horrible things, he only did them to us. He's always been loyal to you. He's even willing to give you his heart. I heard that he almost died because of you when C kidnapped you. So, you don't have the heart to do anything to him, right? No, that's two different things. No matter how he treats me, the damage he did to us will never be erased. My husband and I were separated for 4 years in a foreign country, and he still has old injuries on his legs. These are all thanks to him, I haven't forgotten. Let's work together then. With your help, we can get rid of him in a matter of minutes. Even if we can't kill him directly, we can make him lose everything. At least we can take back everything that belongs to the Hua family and not lose his heartless adopted son. Although Dad didn't treat him well all these years, he still grew up in the Hua family. How could he hurt Dad? If it weren't for him, Mom, see, and I wouldn't be in this situation today. I hate him to death. Hua Yinyan's eyes were hazy with tears as she spoke. Hua Mi knew that she wasn't faking it because she didn't need to in front of Hua Min. Yan Yan, I understand what you're thinking. But Hua Xiqian isn't that simple. There's a lot of power behind him. Before you hit a dog, you have to look at its owner first. I don't want to alert him, at least not before I'm confident. My husband has been collecting evidence of his crimes for a long time. There's a lot of evidence, but he's been waiting for the right opportunity. Hua Min couldn't directly tell her everything about Ian. He could only tell Hua Yanyan that Hua Xiqian had a bigger master behind him. Unfortunately, Hua Yanyan didn't seem to be interested in these things. All she wanted was revenge. Fine, if you don't want to, then I'll do it myself. Anyways, I won't let him get away with it. Hua Yanyan sighed slightly. You don't have to say anything more. I understand your situation. That's all then. Sorry for disturbing you. Hua Yanyan seemed to be unhappy that Hua Min didn't agree to work with her. When she left, she had a cold expression on her face. Hua Min could only sigh slightly. She had her own problems as well. On the other hand, the twins went out with their grandparents and bodyguards to eat abalone at a high-end restaurant. Unexpectedly, they bumped into Hua Xiqian, who was also hosting a banquet. Wow! My babies, long time no see. Hua Xiqian squatted down and looked at the twins up close. Chapter 24:15. It's been thousands of years since I last came out for a meal, and now I'm having a meal with you. What a coincidence. Pudding said. Pudding inherited Hua Min's calmness and Qin Chu's arrogance, so she was born with a powerful aura and wasn't afraid of anything. Even when she was kidnapped by Hua Min's men, she still knew how to observe her surroundings and persuade the big dumb guy. She was indeed an extraordinary child. It seems like you don't like me that much. Hua Xiqian smiled. Lady Qin and Old Master Qin were busy chatting with their friends and didn't notice that Hua Xiqian was interacting with his granddaughters. Of course. You know that every time we see you, our hearts are heavier than when we visit a grave. Why are you asking the obvious? Are you an idiot? Little Bean asked him politely. Little Bean, don't you think it's rude to talk to your uncle like that? I'm sorry, I've never had an uncle like you. Don't flatter yourself. Little Bean turned her head away. Little Bean, I thought that after what happened last time, you'd change your opinion of me. After all, we've been through life and death together. We're revolutionary friends. Hua Xiqian tried to get closer to Little Bean. Stop. Don't try to get closer to me. It's not the same, okay? Even if we've been through life and death together 10 times, I still won't change my opinion of you. After all, you're always trying to kidnap my mommy. You're a big bad guy. Little Bean didn't forget to glare at Hua Xichen. However, Hua Xichen wasn't angry at all. In fact, he thought that the two sisters were too cute. Ha! I do want to kidnap your mommy. That's because your mommy is too nice. Suyu also wants to kidnap your mommy. But you two are so nice to him. It's not fair. Hua Xichen was slightly jealous. They were both chasing after Huamin and Qin Chu's love rivals. Why was Suyu treated like a godfather to the twins, but he was their uncle, who had the same surname as Huamin? Yet, he was scolded by the two little fellows as a big bad guy. Wasn't this too unreconciled? Please, don't compare yourself to handsome Su, okay? You really don't deserve it. Pudding had deep feelings for Suyu, so she didn't want to compare Hua Xichen to Suyu. They even felt that it was blasphemy for Suyu to be mentioned at the same time as Suyu. That's right. How can you compare to our handsome Su? First of all, you don't have any love. You're not kind at all. You're so old, but you can't find a wife, have parents, and don't have any children. That's right. You'll be alone in the future, and you won't have anyone to take care of you when you're old. Using the words of the fortune teller under the bridge, you're a jinx. Yes, a jinx. Tisk tsk. You're so young, but you're already so vicious. You're not like your mommy at all. At least she's gentler than you too. Hua Xichen continued to laugh. My mommy won't lower herself to your level, okay? Chapter 24:16. Then, Hua Xichen suddenly raised his right hand and slapped the subordinate's face. Immediately, he felt a sharp pain. If you dare to say something like that again, I won't forgive you. Hua Xichen glared at him. Yes, I was wrong. He didn't do a good job of flattering Hua Xichen, so it was inevitable that he would be slapped. Hua Xichen turned around and walked out. Another subordinate behind him whispered to that person, "Boss loves Miss Hua very much." Of course, he loves the two children very much. Don't say such things in the future. Boss will fly into a rage. You might not know this, but although Boss really wants Miss Hua, he doesn't want to do anything that will make her sad. He's afraid of hurting their relationship. Okay, I know. After being slapped, the man learned his lesson and didn't dare to say anything else. After Hua Xichen got into the car, the driver drove off. He sat in the back seat, his showy fingers tapping on the edge of the luxury car, thinking about something. Suddenly, he took out his phone and dialed a number. It was the number of Huamin's office. Because he was in the middle of a house call, he was very busy, and there were patients and family members in the office. Therefore, he didn't have time to look at the caller ID before he picked up the call. Hello, this is the Neurology Department of Southside Recuperation Center. I'm Huamin, your attending physician. Her voice was very clear and smooth. Mian, he said in a hoarse voice. Huamin's expression changed slightly, and he immediately recognized Hua Xichen's voice. Mian. I just saw Pudding and Little Bean, your daughters are really. Hua Xichen smiled. What do you want? Huamin heard him say this, and his heart was in his throat. I don't want to do anything, I just happened to run into them at dinner and said a few words to them. Pudding is very much like you, she's not afraid in the face of danger, and she's very mature at such a young age. Little Bean is very funny, she talks a lot, and her mouth is quite sharp, just like you. Hua Xichen, don't touch my daughters, don't have any ideas about them, or I'll kill you, Min lowered his voice and said into the phone. Am I that kind of person to you? What do you think? Min asked coldly. Okay. I admit that I'm not a good person, but Mian, I've never wanted to hurt you, not in the past, and not in the future, really, Sichin said gently. He rarely explained things to anyone so seriously. I'm tired of hearing these words, Sichin, I won't believe you, I know you have Ian behind you. If you want to get on Ian's good side and tell him my real identity, then go ahead. We won't be led by the nose by you. We'll have to face this sooner or later, Chin Chu and I aren't afraid. Do you think I'll tell Ian? Ha! Sichin laughed bitterly. It's up to you to tell him or not. Min was ready to go all out. Ian is looking for you, and he's in a hurry. I think he's out of options and wants to force your father and Lu Yen to show up. Maybe he wants to carry out his destructive plan. But this has nothing to do with me. I told you before that I won't hand you over to Ian. I won't let anything happen to you, Sichin promised. If you really don't want to hurt me, then you shouldn't disturb me. You should stay away from my life, you've hurt me enough, Min said slowly. Mian, you're being too cruel, I can't be as great as Su Yu. Really, I love you, so I have to have you. You'll only be happy if you're with me. Chin Chu can't protect you, he can't. Stop trying to drive a wedge between us, no matter what you say, I won't believe you. Min thought Sichin was crazy, calling him over the phone was ridiculous. Mian, if one day I die, will you be sad? Even if it's just a little bit. Sichin suddenly changed the topic and asked this sad question. Although they were on the phone, Mian could feel the sadness in his voice. TSK. I really don't know what they're thinking. Chen Jia rarely discussed patient gossip with Min, but she had chatted with the patient's sister when they were outside. The girl's sister explained the situation to Chen Jia intermittently, and Chen Jia was shocked after hearing it. No wonder such a young and beautiful girl wanted to see a neurologist. It wasn't an endocrine disorder after all. She was almost killed by the man she loved the most. It would be strange if she wasn't scared out of her wits. Chief, why are there so many perverts nowadays? Why do they always want to commit suicide? Chen Jia looked at Min in confusion. Chapter 24:18. Min wasn't surprised by Chen Jia's words. He had been working here for a long time and came across all kinds of strange patients every day. Most of them had gone through setbacks. For example, there was a beautiful young girl who was said to be an internet streamer. However, due to a breakup, she suffered minor injuries and became mentally unstable. She would wake up in the middle of the night and sleepwalk to the streets. She would take off her clothes and attract a lot of onlookers. After a few repetitions, her family realized that the problem was serious and sent her to the hospital. Jia, remember that most people who suffer from depression are highly educated or emotionally affected. Migrant workers don't get it. I'm not looking down on migrant workers, but they work hard every day to make a living. They sleep when they're tired and eat when they're hungry. Their lives are relatively simple and they don't have the energy to think about things. Only those who are highly educated, especially those who are arrogant and aloof, feel that the world doesn't understand them. They think that they're not on the same level as the average person because they've read a lot of books. Only these people would be so stubborn. Chief, you're right. After working here for so long, I've noticed a pattern. Most of our patients are highly educated. Chen Jia had to admit that she was impressed by Min's observation. I'm just speculating logically. Min smiled and continued to drink his milk tea. He no longer thought about Hua Xiqian's call. After dinner, Hua Xiqian returned to the Hua Corporation. As soon as he entered his office, he saw Yan Ruoshi, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. She had indeed disappeared for a long time. After Amo Shuai's death, there was no news of her. Hua Xiqian also didn't talk to Mayor Yan recently. Therefore, he didn't pay much attention to Yan Ruoshi's whereabouts. He was surprised to see her now. Qian, you're back. Yan Ruoshi stood up and asked weakly when she saw Hua Xiqian walk in. Compared to before, her style seemed to have changed a lot. Whether it was the way she dressed, she was much more mature. She was no longer as cute as she used to be, wearing little skirts and pretending to be a Barbie doll. Instead, she chose a black dress with a Swarovski swan-shaped sweater chain. She finally had the temperament and taste of a socialite. Okay. Hua Xiqian nodded slightly. He did not look at her and walked toward his desk. President Hua, there's a meeting in the afternoon about the new cooperation project with the magnificent Tang Corporation. It'll start at 2:50. The female secretary came in and reported. I know. Hua Xiqian didn't even lift his eyelids. He was absent-minded. Qian, are you in a bad mood? No, you came to my company to look for me. What's the matter? Hua Xiqian was annoyed to see this woman. No, I just went abroad with my mom to relax. I haven't seen you in a long time, so I came to see you. Oh right, this is the wine I brought for you in Thailand. Your rib injury hasn't healed yet, right? The snake poison there is very powerful, Yan Ruoshi said as she took out the medicine she had bought for Hua Xiqian from her Hermes handbag. No, I don't need it. You can go now. Hua Xiqian's face turned cold. Then, he turned on his laptop and looked at the data sent by his secretary. He didn't want to talk to Yan Ruoshi anymore. Qian, that bitch, Mo Shuai, is already dead. No one will come looking for trouble with us anymore. My dad has also agreed to our marriage. As long as we get married, it'll be good for your career. I'll be a good wife and mother from now on. I won't care about anything else other than taking care of our child. Really, I'll treat you very, very well. Don't push me away, okay? Yan Ruoshi came to Hua Xiqian humbly, hoping to be by his side. In fact, she knew that Hua Xiqian wasn't a bad person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have saved her last time. No matter what others said, she still loved this man. Chapter 24:19. Ruoshi, I'm not as good as you think I am. Stop bothering me. I'm not in the mood to deal with you. Hua Xiqian leaned back in his chair and rubbed his temples. Qian, you're a smart person, why can't you see that I'm sincere towards you? If I wanted your money or status, I could have found someone else. With my father's current status, it's not like I can't get married, but I like you. I've been following you around for the past few years, no matter what people say about me. I just want to move you. It's been 4 years since your ex-wife, Song Yisher, passed away, and it's been a few days since Mo Shuai's death. Why won't you give me a chance? Yan Ruoshi was born a rich heiress, so she had never been so humble and subservient before. She was so anxious that she was about to cry. Hua Xiqian raised his head and sighed. He walked over and looked down at her. Is 4 years a long time? Yan Ruoshi froze. She didn't say anything because she didn't know what Hua Xiqian was going to say next. If liking someone for a long time is enough to get a response, then Mian should have been mine a long time ago. I knew her before Qin Chu. I liked her for 20 years. 20 years. How many days and nights have I spent Hua Xiqian said with a complicated expression on his face. Qian, stop liking Huamin, okay? She won't like you. She already has Qin Chu. Su Yu is so good, but she never wavered. If you continue like this, it'll only get harder and harder. Release yourself, stop tormenting yourself. Yan Ruoshi cried when she heard Huamin's name. Just like how Imo Shui saw Huamin as her enemy, there was an insurmountable barrier between every woman and Hua Xiqian. And that barrier was Huamin. In Hua Xiqian's dictionary, the name Huamin was a curse that drove him to the brink of insanity. Stop talking. I won't change my mind. Hua Xiqian had already made up his mind. He really didn't want to waste his breath on Yan Ruoshi. Qian, but I really like you. I can't let go. I've tried to forget you, but I can't. I can't fall in love with another man. Even if the whole world says you're a bad guy, you're still the best in my heart. Yan Ruoshi's face was covered in tears. Actually, she knew that Hua Xiqian wouldn't change his mind, but she still wanted to say what she wanted to say. Okay. Ha. What's so good about me? Hua Xiqian lowered his head and leaned closer to Yan Ruoshi's face. Yan Ruoshi was a little scared to be so close to Hua Xiqian all of a sudden. She looked at Hua Xiqian's elegant and handsome face with apprehension. Who would have thought that a man like him could turn into a demon and tear people to pieces at any time? Anyway, in my heart, you're the best. You're the best in every way. Yan Ruoshi stuttered. She didn't have much confidence. Even if I'm a murderer. Do you think I'm the best? Hua Xiqian's lips curled up into a strange smile. Murderer. Qian. Don't talk nonsense. Yan Ruoshi's expression changed slightly. If I told you that all the women around me didn't have a good ending, like Song Yishe and Imo Shui, I even killed a few of the women who slept with me, and I did it in a very cruel way, would you still think I'm the best? Qian. Stop talking. I don't believe you. Stop talking. I beg you. After all, Yan Ruoshi was still young and hadn't seen much of the world. Therefore, Hua Xiqian pushed her to the brink of a breakdown. Chapter 24:20. You're scared already. Ha. Then don't even think about marrying me. You'll be even more scared in the future. I'm not as good as you think. Far from it. Hua Xiqian straightened his collar, turned around, and left the office. Yan Ruoshi's hair stood on end. The look in Hua Xiqian's eyes just now, and the words he said. Was it true, or was it just to scare her and make her back out of the difficult situation? But why didn't it seem like it? There used to be rumors that Hua Xiqian was the real culprit behind Song Yishe's death. But it had been more than 4 years, and the evidence was long gone. Song Yishe's father was already in prison. No one knew what happened back then. Yan Ruoshi looked at the empty office and stood up shakily. Her legs felt weak, she picked up her bag and left listlessly. GK headquarters, President Qin, was that a call from the headquarters? Qin Chu walked out of the conference room, and Assistant Yang handed Qin Chu his phone. Second uncle. Qin Chu took the phone and chatted with his uncle. After hanging up, Qin Ning called again. It was obvious that the father and daughter were not on the same page. Qin Chu was also in a dilemma. He said a few words and hung up. Qin Chu's second uncle was very decisive. He insisted on holding a wedding for Tang Chuan and Qin Ning in the States. He also wanted Tang Chuan to become an American citizen. Tang Chuan was already very generous when he agreed to be their son-in-law. His second uncle's request was too much for him to accept. Tang Chuan also said that he didn't want to become an American citizen. If the Tang family found out about this betrayal, especially Tang Chuan's father, they would break his legs. After all, no one wanted their son to be kidnapped and become an American citizen. In the eyes of the elders, foreign citizenship was unacceptable. It was considered betrayal, and it was considered forgetting one's ancestors. Therefore, Qin Ning was in a dilemma. She watched as Tang Chuan was kicked out of the house by his father and moved to a hotel. Qin Ning anxiously followed him to a hotel. Qin Chu's second uncle was furious and asked Qin Chu to teach Qin Ning a lesson. Qin Chu hung up the phone and sighed deeply. It was said that even an honest official couldn't solve family problems, not to mention that he wasn't an honest official. "Sir, someone wants to see you without an appointment." The secretary's office's internal line. "Who is it?" Qin Chu asked. "She said she's from the Tang Corporation. And she's a middle-aged lady," Qin Chu slightly. "Let hers as eyes as hers as her." Although Qin Ning didn't cooperate with the Tang family in business and wasn't too familiar with them, she was now engaged to Tang Chuan. They might become in-laws in the future, so it was better not to offend the Tang family. With that thought in mind, he asked his secretary to let the people from Tang Chuan in. The office door was pushed open and a middle-aged lady came in. She was dressed extravagantly and had a bag worth hundreds of thousands in her hand. Her aura was also very strong. After she came in, she sat directly opposite Qin Chu and said with a straight face, "Hello, CEO Qin. I am Tang Chuan's mother. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Tang." Although Qin Chu already knew her identity, he still had to pretend to be polite. "You know my son, Tang Chuan, don't you?" "Oh, I know him. We often have dinner together." Qin Chu told the truth. "Then you must know about the matter between my son and your cousin, right?" Tang Chuan's mother continued to ask. "Yes, Mrs. Tang, I know. So, your Qin family has made up your mind to kidnap my son and make him your live-in son-in-law." The lady couldn't hold it in any longer. She seemed ready to flip out at any moment. Chapter 24-21. "Mrs. Tang, it's not what you're saying." "I think there must be a misunderstanding," Qin Chu replied calmly. "Misunderstanding? Ha, why do I feel like you're trying to shirk responsibility? Let me put it this way, President Qin, we're both influential people in our city. Our families are well matched, and my son likes your cousin. I think it's a good marriage, but why do you have to kidnap him? Last time, my son went to the States and disappeared for over a month. His father and I were so scared that we almost had a heart attack. We thought that everything would be fine after he came back, but who knew that he would run away again? Plus, I heard that he's going to stay there for a long time. Don't you think you've crossed the line? Although you're an international corporation, the Tang Corporation isn't to be messed with. We're not bad in terms of money, experience, and family background. How could you force my son to marry into your family and do something so embarrassing? Do you know what people are saying about us? They're saying that my son is a freeloader and that we're going bankrupt, so we're allying with GK. Did you hear what they're saying?" Mrs. Tang said a bunch of things in one breath. She was so angry that her face turned green. She came here with a lot of anger. Unlike last time when she questioned Suyu was more familiar with Mrs. Tang and found an excuse to brush her off. However, as the head of the Qin family, Qin Chu had to give her an explanation. "Mrs. Tang, calm down." Qin Chu tried to calm her down. "President Qin, you're a father now. You should understand how parents feel. If your daughter ran away, wouldn't you be upset? You should put yourself in my shoes," Mrs. Tang said bluntly. Chin Chu wasn't happy to hear this. Why did she have to use his daughter as an example? Therefore, Mr. Chin replied to Mrs. Tang with a lot of anger, "My daughter would never do something like that. That's how she was raised. So you're saying that our family doesn't have a good upbringing?" Mrs. Tang was about to explode when she heard this. "Mrs. Tang, I understand how you feel. If there's anything, we can discuss it. Don't you think it's a bit inappropriate to use my daughter as an example?" Mr. Chin, who was a slave to his daughter, couldn't accept that his daughter was being used as an example. Not to mention Mrs. Tang, even Madam President couldn't do it. Absolutely not. Oh, now I can't even make an analogy. If you can't even stand it, then why don't you tell me that your girl kidnapped my son? If your family has a good upbringing, you wouldn't just run away with a man, right? Mrs. Tang looked at Chin Chu angrily. "My sister, Chin Ning, grew up in the States, so it's normal for her to be different from the girls in our country." Mr. Chin was protective of his sister again. Mrs. Tang almost choked on her own breath. "President Chin, if you talk like this, are you trying to make things difficult for the Tang family?" Mrs. Tang was furious. "No, I'm just stating a fact." Ning was indeed rude in her actions, but since they both like each other, I think we should give them some time. If they really want to talk about marriage, then it's not too late to talk about this. If one day they realize that they're not suitable for each other, then it's not impossible for them to break up. I think. Mrs. Tang, you're thinking too much. Why bother? Chin Chu said faintly as he looked at the middle-aged woman calmly. Although Mrs. Tang was angry, she realized that she didn't know what to say. Wasn't Chin Chu a bit too powerful? Even if you're right, then let's talk about something else. I want my son back immediately. President Chin, please tell your family to let him go as soon as possible. Mrs. Tang ordered domineeringly. Chapter 24-22. Mrs. Tang, Tang Chuan's legs are his own. He can come back at any time. Qin Ning didn't kidnap him. You can call the police yourself. Why do you have to call me? I don't think it's within my jurisdiction. After all, he's not my son, Mr. Qin said viciously. Mrs. Tang almost fell to the ground and foamed at the mouth. Didn't he just say that his daughter would grow up and run away with someone else? It was just a metaphor. This man was so vengeful that he didn't even want to have a pleasant conversation with her anymore. President Qin, your question is unnecessary. If I could find him myself, I wouldn't need you. Now he's not even answering my calls. I'm starting to suspect that the girl really put him under house arrest, Mrs. Tang said impolitely. Then you can call the police. The U.S. is a fair place. If you think your son was kidnapped and imprisoned, you can sue him. Why waste my time here? Mrs. Tang was so angry that she couldn't speak. I'm sorry. I still have work to do. See you later. Chin Chu looked down at the files. Mrs. Tang clenched her fists and turned to leave. She was very unhappy. Although Su Yu was afraid of her and gave in to her, Mr. Qin didn't give him any face at all. That night, when they returned to South Hill Manor, Chin Chu brought up the incident at dinner. Hua Min almost burst out laughing. Chu, you're too much. After all, you're going to be in-laws. Why do you have to be so hostile? Mr. Qin tried to persuade him. Dad, you don't know. He's a slave to his daughter. You can't say anything bad about his daughter in front of him. Otherwise, you'll piss him off. Mrs. Tang, why did you bring up our daughter? I don't like it. Hua Min laughed. Now you understand me, right? Chin Chu glanced at Hua Min faintly. Daddy, is Auntie really getting married? What's going on? Isn't it a bit too impulsive? Little Bean asked as she ate a red bean bun. Your second grandpa was the one who suggested marriage, not your little aunt, Chin Chu replied. What exactly did you discuss? What did your second uncle think? Mr. Chin asked. What can I do if the father and daughter don't come to an agreement? Chin Chu was also helpless. Then what should we do now? What about the Cold War? Who are they? Hua Mian asked curiously. No, Ningning and Tang Chuan moved out and stayed in a hotel. It's that serious. Hua Min was a little surprised. At this time, Little Bean interrupted again. I think Uncle Tang wants to have sex with Auntie. No, he wants her to have sex with him. Then, Auntie will be able to make her own decisions. Ha! Don't talk nonsense. Hua Min knocked Little Bean's head with his chopsticks. Little Bean stuck out her tongue. Little Bean, why aren't you talking? Is there something on your mind? Hua Min found it strange that Little Bean didn't participate in the conversation. Mommy, today I saw. Little Bean was about to say Hua Xiqian's name when she stopped. She didn't want her grandparents to worry, so she swallowed her words. Who did you see? Hua Min asked curiously. No. I saw an annoying guy. Little Bean and I scolded him. Little Bean knew that she couldn't tell Hua Xiqian in front of her grandparents. She had to tell her mommy in private. So, she nodded and said half-heartedly, yeah, he's annoying. He's so annoying. That bastard. Little Bean, don't swear. What did Mommy tell you? Hua Min's face darkened. I'm sorry, Mommy. I didn't mean it. Little Bean immediately apologized. Little Bean, are you still buying the Hua Corporation's shares? Chin Chu asked casually. Yes, Daddy. Oh, then you can sell them all in the next 2 days. Chin Chu was still calm as if he was talking about something boring. Because the Hua Corporation is going to do something big soon, Chin Chu said elegantly as he put a piece of vegetable on his plate. Chapter 24-23. If that's the case, then I'm really going to sell it. I don't want it to end up in my hands. Pudding continued to eat calmly. Daddy, is your information accurate? Don't lie to my sister. Pudding looked at Chin Chu suspiciously. Chin Chu put down his chopsticks and pinched Pudding's cheeks lovingly. How dare you doubt Daddy? When have I ever lied? Do you think I'd tell you something that's not reliable? Chin Chu smiled. That's hard to say. Maybe Daddy doesn't want my sister to invest in the stock market and purposely gave her fake information to trick her. Pudding's little brain worked fast. Chin Chu, do you think Daddy is as unfaithful as you? Pudding looked at Pudding with disdain and turned to go to the bathroom. Hey, Chin Zhao Zhao, do you have a conscience? I'm doing this for your own good. How could you betray me? Pudding was unwilling. Hua Min looked at the two clowns and all his worries disappeared. Ever since she became a mother, she wasn't as sentimental as before. Most importantly, she didn't have time to think about those useless things. These two devils could turn the house upside down. Listening to them bicker every day was as interesting as listening to a crosstalk. The next morning, as soon as the stock market opened, Pudding directly transferred money into her account and bought all the shares of the Hua Corporation and its subsidiaries. She made a lot of money. She bought the shares when the Hua Corporation was in bad news, so it was a good deal. When she sold the shares, the price was still too high. If her daddy didn't remind her, she would have continued to observe for a while. However, since her daddy said that yesterday, it meant that the Hua Corporation was in trouble. After selling the shares, Pudding picked up an apple and nibbled on it. She turned on the TV and watched the financial news. She was waiting for the whole corporation to fall. Pudding had never been interested in the stock market. Therefore, after breakfast, she ran around the garden with the maid and played with the flowers and plants. As expected, at 10 o'clock, the whole corporation was in bad news. Pudding, who was about to fall asleep, suddenly became energetic. On the TV, the female host quickly introduced, according to the latest news, the whole corporation has been embroiled in a major scandal today. Their deputy finance director, Dreamy, has been accused of embezzling public funds and absconding with the funds. It is said that a portion of the embezzled funds is from a project with the Shin Corporation. A conservative estimate is 300 million. The whole corporation CEO, Hua Siqian, has yet to respond. We will continue to monitor this matter. Wow! Running away with your shoes. Interesting. Daddy was right. It's amazing. Pudding was in a good mood as she chewed on an apple. In less than an hour after the negative news was released, the whole corporation's stock price plummeted. Some shareholders who couldn't stand losing money went to the whole corporation building to cause trouble, but Hua Siqian didn't show up. Hua Siqian, bastard. Capitalist vampire, come out. What kind of shitty company is this? We only bought your shares because you bragged so much. Now that something like this has happened, we've lost everything. Give us back our money. If you don't give us an explanation today, I'll die in front of your company. A bald middle-aged man in his 50s roared. Yes, we'll fight to the death. Hua Siqian, come out and give us an explanation. Hua Siqian, you bastard. How dare you cheat us out of our hard-earned money? What kind of shitty company is this? Just close it down. The voices of the unruly shareholders were getting louder and louder. Chapter 24-24. A group of middle-aged women followed behind him, holding up a banner that read, "Evil capitalists, the whole corporation eats people whole without spitting out their bones." At the same time, a large number of media outlets reported on the incident. Inside the president's office at the whole corporation, President Hua, what do we do now? Hua Siqian's assistant was also worried. Hua Siqian's face was gloomy, but he didn't say anything. His people had just found out that bastard Du Zhili had left the country. It would have been easier to find him anywhere else, but he had to go to the Golden Triangle, a place where all kinds of people lived. It was too difficult to find someone. Du Zhili had been at the whole corporation for a long time, so he was surprised by the sudden news. 300 million yuan wasn't a lot to him, it was just a drop in the ocean. However, what was bad was the reaction of society and shareholders after the news was exposed. Also, the whole corporation's stock market was in turmoil. President Hua, do you think Qin Chu hired someone to do this? After all, he's always been our nemesis. Maybe he bribed Du Zhili to set us up. What about Du Zhili's family? Hua Siqian asked with a cold expression. They all ran away. His house is empty, he doesn't have any money in his bank account, and he sold his house and shops. It seems like this was planned long ago. President Hua, we must have been set up. This isn't a coincidence. Of course I know this isn't a coincidence. Hua Siqian's face was gloomy. What do we do now? Those troublemakers outside are still causing trouble, it's not good for us. Should we chase them away? No need, they're just a bunch of people, they can't do anything. Hua Siqian waved his hand. Hua Siqian was in a bad mood, but he wasn't as worried as he thought he would be. After all, he was a man who had seen the world. Inside the Hilton restaurant in Sea City, Hua Yanyan was wearing a fiery red evening gown. Her hair was tied up in a bun as she sat across from Shen Mingxi. I chose this for you. Do you like it? Shen Mingxi pushed over a small box. It was Dior's logo. Hui Yanyan smiled shyly. What's that? Open it and have a look. Hui Yanyan slowly opened the box. Inside was a pair of pearl earrings. They were white and had a lace pattern. They were very beautiful. So cute. I heard that it's a limited edition of the new season. I think it suits you. Thank you, Mingxi. Hui Yanyan smiled. Let me help you put it on, Shen Mingxi said as he walked over and carefully put the pearl earrings on Hui Yanyan's neck. Does it hurt? Shen Mingxi asked softly. It doesn't hurt. I've had my ears pierced for many years. I don't feel anything anymore. You don't have to be so nervous. Hui Yanyan bit her lip and smiled. Have you read the news about the Huo Corporation? Shen Mingxi suddenly asked her after he returned to his seat. Is it about the scandal that was exposed today? Hua Min asked Yanyan. Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. Your company lost a lot of money, right? I heard that the money that the person took was from your company. Hui Yanyan asked with concern. That's not important. What's important is that Hua Xiqian is starting to run out of luck. Shen Mingxi said word by word. Hui Yanyan didn't say anything. She didn't know what Shen Mingxi was trying to say. Was he testing her or something else? Yanyan. I know you hate Hua Xiqian. I'll avenge you, Shen Mingxi suddenly said affectionately as he looked at Hui Yanyan. Hui Yanyan was slightly stunned. She even felt a little nervous. She had never mentioned anything about revenge and had always been careful around him. How did he find out? Did someone tell him? Chapter 24-25. Mingxi, the truth is, Hui Yanyan paused in the middle of her sentence. She had mixed feelings. You don't have to say it, I understand. I know you've always hated me, and I know you've been looking for a chance to get revenge. But Yanyan, I don't believe that you got close to me and came back to me just to use me. Mingxi, let me finish. Shen Mingxi interrupted Hui Yanyan. Then he continued, in the past, I was too preoccupied with my own feelings and neglected you. Now that I think about it, when two people are together, they need to understand, tolerate, and be considerate of each other. No matter what other people say, you and Tian Tian have brought me a lot of happiness and warmth. You've made me feel like a family. The truth is, even without you, Wei Ying and I would have gotten a divorce. The marriage between our families was a mistake. Luckily, it's not too late to regret it now. I still have a chance to take care of you. So, from now on, your lover is my enemy. I'll help you deal with Hua Xiqian. Once I deal with him, I'll propose to you. I'll let you officially marry into the Shen family, instead of being called a shameless homewrecker. Shen Mingxi rarely said so much at once. So, Hui Yanyan was really touched after hearing what he said. Mingxi, you don't have to do this. You've already been so good to me. Hui Yanyan felt a little guilty. She liked Shen Mingxi, but she was also making use of him. After Hua Xiqian died, she wanted Hua Xiqian to die as soon as possible so that she could get her revenge. Maybe she was too anxious and gave herself away, and Shen Mingxi saw through her. That was why they had this conversation today. No, it's not enough. I'll treat you and Tian Tian even better. Tian Tian isn't my daughter, but I'll treat her like my own. I won't let you and Tian Tian be bullied. Leave Hua Xiqian to me. Just wait for my good news. Hui Yanyan had a complicated expression on her face. Just as she was about to say something, Shen Mingxi's phone rang. Have you arrived? Very good. I'll get someone to transfer the rest of the money to you. I hope you'll keep your promise and never appear in the country again. Don't get caught by Hua Xiqin. Otherwise, even the gods won't be able to save you. Shen Mingxi hung up after he finished speaking. He picked up his phone and sent a text message to his trusted subordinate. Send the rest of the money to Du Zhili. Although he had edited the text, Hui Yanyan could still pick up some clues from his words. After putting down the phone, Shen Mingxi smiled at Hui Yanyan. How are the dishes today? Mingxi, did you do this to the Hua Corporation? Hui Yanyan finally understood why Shen Mingxi had said so much. It turned out that he had already begun to make his move. Furthermore, he had already given Hua Xiqin a heads-up from the very beginning. Yes. Shen Mingxi didn't deny it and nodded. Mingxi, revenge is my own business. I don't want to drag you into this. Even if I did use you, I only used your money and your connections. I didn't want to drag you into this. Hui Yanyan said anxiously. It's okay, I don't care, Shen Mingxi said with his head lowered. But I care. I can't do that. You've been so good to me. I can't put you in danger. You don't know what kind of person Hua Xiqin is. If he finds out what you're doing, he won't let you go. Your life could be in danger at any time. He'll kill you. Hui Yanyan said anxiously. Chapter 24-26. It won't be that easy. Yanyan, I'm not useless. Don't think of me as a weakling. I know what kind of person Hua Xiqin is. He's someone that even Qin Chu doesn't dare to touch. It's not that simple. I met with Hua Min in private and she told me that Hua Xiqin has someone even more powerful behind him. He's not someone we can mess with. Hui Yanyan warned. So what? Bring it on. Since I promised to avenge you, I won't back down. Don't worry. But... Hui Yanyan frowned and was about to say something when Shen Mingxi interrupted her. Yanyan, let's eat. The food's getting cold. Hui Yanyan remained silent, but her heart was heavy. She didn't want to get Shen Mingxi involved, but it was too late. The Hua Corporation's incident was getting out of hand. At 6 p.m., Hua Xiqin held a press conference at a 5-star hotel and gave a positive response to the incident. Hua Xiqin stopped being so high-profile and changed into a dark gray suit instead of a brightly colored suit. He looked a little more composed than usual. Mr. Hua, about what happened this afternoon, how is your company going to deal with it? Did Du Zhili do what he did, or did he benefit from you? Please answer. The reporter's first question was extremely sharp. Hua Xiqin wasn't nervous at all. In fact, he looked extremely relaxed. He lowered his head and leaned closer to the microphone. To be honest, Du Zhili has been with the Hua Corporation for many years. He was promoted by my father when he was still alive. He's been with us for 3 generations. I didn't expect him to do something like this. I'm deeply shocked and heartbroken by the outcome. President Hua, are you saying that you're not involved in this? Everyone is saying that you're going to clear your name, another reporter asked expressionlessly. My friend from the media, that's a little funny. First of all, I'm not a bad person, so why would I clear my name? Plus, I'm not trying to clear my name, I'm just stating the truth. If I knew about this beforehand, I wouldn't have let it happen. After all, the whole corporation lost 5 billion yuan in just a few hours. That's my money. I don't need to be stupid enough to ruin my own family's wealth, right? Hua Xiqin asked the reporter. The reporter was speechless. Mr. Hua, why did Du Zhili suddenly do this? As far as I know, the whole corporation pays him quite well. As the deputy director of finance, he makes $1 million a year. His family is well off, so he wouldn't do something like this, another reporter asked. We're also investigating the reason. So far, we just found out that he took the opportunity of a business trip to Singapore's Golden Sands Casino a week ago and lost 180 million yuan. So, I think it has something to do with this. After all, the money he lost couldn't have been his own. Recently, he took over a project with the Shin Corporation, so he had a way to withdraw the project funds. As for how he did it, whether he copied my card or something else, we'll have to wait for the final results from the police. We've already called the police. We hope that Du Zhili can be arrested as soon as possible so that he can give our company and everyone an explanation. Mr. Hua, what do you plan to do with the Shin Corporation? Will you continue working with them? Another reporter asked. President Hua, have some water. The female secretary behind him gently handed him a bottle of water. Chapter 24-27. Okay, thank you. Hua Xiqian apologized to the female secretary in a gentlemanly manner. The audience in front of the TV saw this and praised Hua Xiqian for his manners. Hua Xiqian took the bottle of water but didn't take a sip. He just casually placed it beside his hand. Then, he said righteously, as for our business partner, the Shin Corporation, we will definitely give them an explanation. I will use my personal fortune to compensate them for the money that Du Zhili stole from the Shin Corporation. If President Shen is willing, I hope this partnership can continue. After all, our company values this partnership very much and it is also our first partnership with the Shin Corporation. I hope this outcome will satisfy the Shin Corporation. Surprisingly, Hua Xiqian was unexpectedly generous. He was actually willing to pay out of his own pocket. This was indeed a bit unusual. In front of the TV, Hui Yanyan coldly looked at Hua Xiqian's face. She looked at the bottle of water that he took but didn't drink and sneered, as expected, he is very vigilant. Mo Shui even said that it was easy to drug him. How naive. He is such a suspicious person. Why would he casually drink something from someone else? Luckily, she wasn't stupid enough to bribe the female secretary. Otherwise, if the water was taken away for inspection, wouldn't she have left evidence that could be used against her? Mr. Hua, when the market opens tomorrow, will the Hua Corporation stock continue to fall? Does your company have any plans? We will hold a shareholders meeting tonight and think of a solution with all the shareholders. Please don't be impatient. I believe that we will recover quickly. After all, the Hua Corporation has always been a reputable company. Please give us some time to properly deal with this matter. Mr. Hua, this time, will Mayor Yan help your company this time? I heard that you and Miss Yan have a close relationship. It is widely rumored that you and Miss Yan are in a relationship. People have even witnessed Miss Yan entering and leaving your private mansion late at night. What do you think about this? Today's questions are about business. Our President Hua will not answer personal questions. Please be careful. Hua Xiqian's assistant stepped forward to stop the reporters. Hua Xiqian looked at his watch and stood up with a smile. Dear friends from the media, that's all for today. Thank you for coming. I've ordered some food and drinks at Peony Hall as a token of appreciation. Please help yourselves. President Hua has something to do, so he'll have to leave first. Hua Xiqian nodded and left the hotel with a smile. South Hill Manor. Qin Chu, Hua Min, and the twins were watching TV while eating fruits and chips. This big bad guy is such a hypocrite. He's obviously unhappy, but he's still trying to make it sound so nice. What's that called again? Right, a beast in human clothing. Little Bean cursed. You're insulting beasts, okay. Pudding corrected her. Ah, sis, you're the best. You win. Little Bean looked up and laughed. Honey, did you do this? Huamin asked casually as he ate the orange. It wasn't me, aw. Not Daddy. Then how did you know something was going to happen to the whole corporation? Pudding was confused. I planted spies in Huasiqian's company. According to my people, Dujili has been acting strangely lately. I asked someone to investigate and found out that he had already transferred all of his assets. So, I suspect that he's on the run. Qin Chu replied calmly. Wow, Daddy, do you have to be so smart? How did you do that? Pudding was completely impressed. I have a feeling that someone is even more anxious than us to deal with Huasiqian. Just wait and see, the whole corporation will continue to suffer. Qin Chu's lips twitched. Chapter 24-28. Honey, what else do you know? Huamin realized that Mr. Qin had been acting all mysterious lately. It won't be fun if I tell you. Just wait and see. Qin Chu began to sell the information. This made Huamin even more curious. While corporation headquarters, it was already 8 p.m. when Huasiqian walked out of the conference room with a dark expression. The shareholders didn't even dare to breathe loudly. No one dared to go against his decision. On the surface, it looked like a discussion, but in reality, Huasiqian was furious and scolded them to death. Then, he walked into his office with a dark expression. Just then, his confidant knocked on the door and walked in. How is it? Did you find the person? Boss, Dujili is too smart. I don't know how he escaped from our pursuit. We lost track of him after he entered the Golden Triangle. The Golden Triangle is so big, and there are so many different forces. It's not easy to find him. Even if we did find him, we wouldn't be able to get the money back. He probably lost it all. Bastard, I'm not looking for him to get the money back. 300 million isn't worth my effort. I just want to know who told Dujili to do this. Huasiqian put his hands on his hips and looked angry. Wasn't it Qin Chu? Who else could it be? Of course not, I know Qin Chu quite well. He doesn't do anything easily, and if he does, it's fatal. He wouldn't play games with me that are a waste of time and intelligence. Boss, are you saying that other than Qin Chu, there's someone else who wants to deal with us? His subordinate was also confused. I have a lot of enemies, but there's someone who wants to kill me. Huasiqian didn't continue. However, he seemed to have guessed the gist of it, so you had been keeping a low profile lately. Other than going to work and getting off work, he would go back to the Su family for dinner. He suddenly became an obedient child. Wei Liao was busy going on vacation with his wife and children, and Tang Chuan was busy eloping. Therefore, once he was free, he would feel quite lonely. Su Yu, who had nowhere else to go, had only 3 options: the company, the private villa, and the Su family's old mansion. Dinner table, you seem to be very free these days. Aren't you busy at work? Grandpa suddenly asked. I'm not very busy. All the artists have their own jobs, and the concerts are handled by a team. I can basically command them remotely over the phone. Su Yu answered his grandfather's question while eating a steamed bun. Really? That's a good thing. Since that's the case, come with me when Grandpa goes to Jingdu for a meeting next week. Don't you have so many guards? Why do you need me? Su Yu curled his lips. How can a guard be the same as you? Are you my grandson? Grandpa Lord Su snorted. I don't think it's as simple as accompanying you. Tell me, which old comrade or subordinate's granddaughter are you going to introduce to me this time? Suyu seemed to have guessed his grandfather's thoughts. Grandpa Lord Su's face was full of awkwardness. He raised his chopsticks and slapped Suyu. "You brat, Dad, I told you, he's getting more and more out of hand. He was easier to control when he was younger." Mr. Su glanced at his son and said coldly, "You, come with Grandpa. Treat it as a vacation." Mrs. Su was also very persuasive. "Mom, don't mess around. A vacation to Jingdu. That place. I've been there hundreds of times since I was young, okay? What's there to vacation about? You guys, don't waste your time. If you want to introduce someone to me on a blind date, why don't you just bring her here to meet us?" Suyu said slowly. You mean you agree to the blind date?" Mrs. Su was overjoyed. Chapter 24-29. Yeah, I agree to the blind date. Otherwise, you won't be able to explain it to your friends, right? I'll definitely give you face. After all, we're all family. Suyu was surprisingly easy to talk to. Lady Su almost suspected that he wasn't her biological son. Are you serious? Master Lord Su also didn't believe it and confirmed it again. Yeah, I agreed to the blind date, so I definitely won't go back on my word. Grandpa, don't you know me? Although I've been naughty since I was young, I won't go back on my words. Hearing Suyu's words, Master Lord Su was overjoyed. Aya, that's great. Our efforts didn't go to waste. In a few days, I'll ask that girl to come over and meet you. If you like her, we'll get engaged first. Then, we'll pick a date to get married. That way, the Su family will be able to settle one of our biggest worries. When I meet your grandmother and great-grandfather in the afterlife, I'll be able to answer to them. Grandpa Su held a small wine glass in his hand. Suyu paused, then raised his hand to rub his nose and coughed lightly. Ahem, Grandpa, I only agreed to meet you, but I didn't say it would happen. Did you misunderstand me? What do you mean by that? Master Lord Su's face instantly darkened. Mrs. Su and Mr. Su also looked at Suyu with a puzzled expression. Seeing this, Suyu put down his chopsticks and stopped eating. He looked around at his three closest relatives and said, Grandpa, Dad, Mom. I know what you're thinking. Recently, there have been rumors saying that I'm gay. Although it's funny, it's still damaging to the Su family's reputation. Grandpa, you're so old-fashioned. Because of my personal reasons, I'm really sorry for the negative impact on our family. So, I've thought it through. Let's each take a step back. I'll agree to all the blind dates you've arranged, but if the results aren't good, you can't blame me, okay? What are you talking about? Then wouldn't we have done all this for nothing? You're saying that even if we arrange 99 blind dates for you, you won't agree, right? Mr. Su seemed to understand his son's words. Suyut scratched his head and didn't say anything. Brat, do you really think so? Master Lord Su was a little angry. Grandpa, this kind of thing can't be rushed, really, let's not be too stubborn, okay? Agreeing to meet the person on the blind date is already the best I can do. Bullshit. Are you going on a blind date or are we going on a blind date? Are you looking for a wife or are we looking for a wife? Master Lord Su glared at his grandson angrily. However, Siyu said seriously, if you want to see the old lady, I have no objections, you. Master Lord Su was so angry that he was speechless. Suyu, stop messing around. How can you talk to your grandfather like that? Mr. Su threw his chopsticks down in anger. Oh, right. I still have something to do at the company, so I'll leave first. You guys take your time. Seeing that the atmosphere was not right, Siyu did not dare to stay any longer. He found a reason and left immediately. Hey, you. Mrs. Su looked at her son's back reluctantly. After walking out of the house, Siyu got into his black Lamborghini and sighed slightly. He thought that he would go to work and come home for dinner, but it turned out like this. This was really not the result he wanted. Russia, in a manner outside of Moscow, afraid that Lu Yen would run away, Xiao Fei would put a flower fragrance in her room every day that could make people feel weak all over. In the blink of an eye, Lu Yen had been trapped here for more than 5 days. Someone come quickly, Lu Yen yelled impatiently. A young lady, what are your orders? The butler was still polite. Where's Xiao Fei? Tell him to come see me. A young lady, the young master. The butler seemed to want to say something when he mentioned Xiao Fei. Chapter 24:30. What's wrong with Psycho Xiao? Lu Yan asked the butler, slightly taken aback. Young master and old master don't seem to be on good terms lately, and he doesn't seem to be in a good mood. Is it because of me? Lu Yan wasn't someone who thought too highly of herself. She always knew that Xiao Fei was the most favored son of the Xiao family and never had any conflicts with his father. Now that he was on bad terms with his father, it must be because of her. Ever since she got the Ghost One and blew up Ian's Indonesia branch, it caused a series of upheavals. Those who wanted to kill her didn't dare to enter Russia to arrest her. However, all of them were eyeing her covetously. The Qiao family was in an awkward position. After all, they were in the underworld and couldn't afford to offend so many underworld gangs, terrorist organizations, and the Indonesian government just to protect a woman. Therefore, it was inevitable that Xiao Fei and his father would have conflicts. The butler didn't know what to say and could only stutter. I'll go check on him. Then, Lu Yen forced herself to walk out. A young lady, you should wait here. The butler seemed to want to stop Lu Yen. Don't stop me, I've never been a delicate flower in a greenhouse. I was born a tough woman. I don't need to be protected as much as you think. Since this happened because of me, I should solve it. Everyone, get out of my way. Although she couldn't exert any strength, Lu Yen was still domineering. After she said that, no one dared to stop her and they all made way for her. Xiao Fei's manor wasn't far from the main manor. Lu Yen wore a black windbreaker and her long hair was loose. Her face was slightly pale. She walked very slowly, but she was very persistent. Since everyone here knew Lu Yen, no one dared to stop her and only nodded to greet her. Good morning, a young lady, good morning, Miss Yen. Lu Yen didn't say anything. Her face was serious as she walked into the main hall of the main manor. She happened to overhear a few family members having a meeting, including Xiao Fei, Xiao Fei's father, and Xiao Fei's second brother, Xiao Nan. Fei, father is doing this for the sake of our family. You have to understand. Lu Yan is used to being fearless and has been hunted since she was young. She and her father have nothing to lose and don't care about life and death. However, the Qiao family is different. Grandpa's empire can't be destroyed in our hands. So, you have to consider the big picture, Xiao Nan said slowly. No matter what, I won't hand Yen over. Xiao Fei seemed determined. I'm not asking you to give her away. After all, the two of you were together once, and the Qiao family won't be so heartless. I just want you to leave her alone, or else the Qiao family will be implicated sooner or later. As for your engagement, I think it's better to listen to father and cancel it first. Then, I'll help you find someone else. With your current status, you can choose any girl in the world, why do you only love Lu Yen? That woman doesn't treat you well, Fei, why are you doing this? Xiao Nan's words were so harsh that Xiao Fei's face immediately turned cold. I'll take care of my own business. It's none of your business. Xiao Fei glared at Xiao Nan coldly. If you weren't my brother, I wouldn't care about you. Don't be so ungrateful. Xiao Nan mocked. Really? Do you really think of me as your brother? Xiao Fei looked at Xiao Nan with a sharp gaze, his words full of hidden meaning. The two men were at each other's throats, and the atmosphere was extremely tense. Chapter 24:31. Fei, what do you mean by that? Xiao Nan chuckled as he looked at him. However, Xiao Fei's attitude was as cold as an iceberg. All right, stop arguing. Fei, your brother, has a point. Even though I like Yen, I can't let her stay. Ian alone is enough of a headache for us, and we can't make an enemy out of the Indonesian government. Otherwise, we won't be able to do business in the south. It's decided then. If you don't want her to leave, I'll talk to her. I'm sure she's smart enough to understand what I mean in our situation, Xiao Fei's father said coldly. Although Lu Yen didn't care about this, she didn't want to stay either. However, seeing Xiao Fei being scolded by his brother and father for protecting her still made her feel bad. At this moment, she walked over with a smile. Uncle Xiao. Xiao Fei's father and brother were slightly surprised. Xiao Fei looked at her in surprise. Yen, why are you here? Lu Yen looked at Xiao Fei with a complicated expression. However, she didn't say anything. Instead, she looked at Xiao Fei's father and said, Uncle Xiao, thank you for taking me in for so long. I caused this mess, so I'll deal with it myself. I was the one who blew up Ian's base. The Indonesian government wants to kill me, it has nothing to do with the Xiao family. You don't have to protect me. I don't want to drag you down with me, so I'll leave in a bit. Don't worry, there's no need to make things difficult for Xiao Fei. Yen, don't blame Uncle Xiao for being heartless. Speaking of which, your father and I are quite close, and he's helped me a lot over the years. However, Fei almost died when he tried to save you last time. The Xiao family tried our best. This time, the people you've offended are too powerful for us to handle. So, I can only ask you to leave now. I hope you can understand my feelings as the head of the family, the leader of the underworld, and as a father. After all, he was an influential figure, so his words were watertight. He made it sound like he was in a difficult position and had a lot of difficulties. What he meant was that he had done everything he could for Lu Yen and her father. Uncle Xiao, tomorrow, I won't make things difficult for you. I will remember the Xiao family's kindness to me. No, you can't leave. I won't allow it. Xiao Fei stared at Lu Yen with a cold face. Since things have come to this point, let's settle it once and for all. Today, I'm officially breaking off the engagement with you. Uncle Xiao is here, so he can be our witness. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Since we're no longer engaged, Xiao Fei, you have no reason to care about me anymore. Then, Lu Yen turned around and left. But Xiao Fei grabbed her arm tightly. Psycho Xiao, let go of my hand, or else I'm going to turn on you. Lu Yen felt like she had already said what she wanted to say. If she couldn't get out of here today and continued to stay in the Xiao family, she would lose all face and dignity. So, for the sake of her pride, she decided to leave. However, Xiao Fei did not let her go. Instead, he turned to his father and said, Father, can't you tolerate Yen? It's not that I can't tolerate it, it's just. Xiao Fei's father was a little embarrassed by his son's question. Then, I'll take Yan and leave. Then, Xiao Fei held Lu Yan's hand tightly and walked out. Xiao Fei's father was furious. Stop right there. Xiao Fei, what are you doing? Lu Yan was also confused. Chapter 24:32. Yan, I'll go with you. Xiao Fei looked at Lu Yan's beautiful face calmly. Lu Yan was dumbfounded. She didn't expect Xiao Fei, who always listened to his father, to make such a shocking decision. On the other hand, Xiao Fei's father didn't expect his son to do this either. Xiao Fei, what are you doing? Xiao Fei's father was a little angry and his tone was stern. I'm not doing anything. You know how important Lu Yan is to me, but you still want to push her out at a time like this. Of course, I don't feel good about it, so I have to go with her. Xiao Fei wasn't a talkative person, but everyone in the Xiao family knew that he took a bullet for Lu Yan last time. Even the cleaner knew how much he liked his fiancée. How could his father not feel bad when he did that? Your father is doing this for your own good. Fei, don't be so immature. Xiao Nan seemed to be speaking up for Xiao Fei, but his words were full of exaggeration, which made their father even angrier. Fei, as the young master of the Xiao family, I thought you had a bigger picture. I didn't think you would do this for a woman. Xiao Fei's father glanced at Lu Yan next to Xiao Fei. He didn't say anything else, but his meaning was obvious. Xiao Fei tightened his grip on Lu Yan's hand and smirked. Father, you're wrong about me. I've never been a big picture person. In my heart, there's only one Lu Yan. Xiao Fei's words shocked the three of them. His father, his second brother, and the woman beside him named Lu Yan. Xiao Fei was similar to Qin Chu in that he wasn't a sweet talker. However, the difference was that although Qin Chu didn't say it to others, he would say it to Huamin. Xiao Fei, on the other hand, was very shy when he was with Lu Yan. Now that he said in front of his father and brother that there was only one Lu Yan in his heart, Lu Yan was surprised and happy. She was even a little touched. Do you know what it means for you to leave this house today? Xiao Fei's father gripped the armrest of the golden chair tightly. The veins on his face bulged as he tried to exert the last bit of pressure on Xiao Fei. Xiao Nan took the opportunity to add fuel to the fire and said, Fei Fei, you have to calm down. This is not a joke. There are so many people watching. How can you just leave like this? Betraying the family. Xiao Fei's father's face darkened when he heard the words, betray the family. Xiao Fei, listen to me. Lu Yan was anxious. She knew how serious the situation was, so she tried to persuade him. Unexpectedly, Xiao Fei did not give her a chance to speak and interrupted her directly. Xiao Yan, don't say anything. Let me finish talking to my father. Then, Xiao Fei looked up at his father and said calmly, I know that after I leave today, it means that whether I live or die, I have nothing to do with the Xiao family. I won't implicate the family, and I won't implicate you, father. So, you don't have to care about whether I live or die. Xiao Fei said slowly. Bastard. Say that again. Hearing his son's words, Xiao Fei's father flew into a rage. He slammed the chair and stood up angrily. A subtle smile appeared on Xiao Nan's face. Lu Yan was also very nervous. This wasn't the result she wanted. Chapter 24:33. I don't want to repeat myself, or else you'll get even angrier. I've said what I wanted to say, so let's leave it at that. Then, Xiao Fei smiled gently at Lu Yan. Yan, let's go. Then, Xiao Fei held Lu Yan's hand and walked out of the main hall, or rather, out of the Qiao family's house. Fei, don't go, come back. Qiao Nan was still pretending to ask him to stay. Don't call him, let him go. If he's so capable, then don't come back. Let's see how long he can last without our family's protection. Xiao Fei's father was also angry and wouldn't ask his son to stay. When Xiao Fei left home, the whole family was in an uproar. In their eyes, Xiao Fei was the most likely candidate to become the family's heir. The Qiao family had 3 sons. The eldest, Qiao Mo, was in South America most of the time. He had his own power and rarely came back. Back then, his relationship with his father was strained because of a woman. The second brother, Qiao Nan, had always been in the Qiao family and helped with the family business. However, he was too sly and cunning. He was even a little vicious and didn't leave any room for negotiation. In the family, he wasn't liked by many. Of course, Qiao Nan wasn't liked by the old man either. However, the third young master, who was always quiet, was the old man's favorite. He had traveled extensively with him since he was young and had seen many big scenes. He was smart. He was reliable, meticulous, and most importantly, strong. Whether it was bare-handed combat or shooting, he was a top-notch expert. Last time, he was so well planned by Ian that an ordinary person would have died 100 times. However, it was a miracle that Xiao Fei could survive after being shot 5 times. Of course, Qin Chu's medical skills were also very good. Otherwise, Xiao Fei wouldn't be where he was today. Inside the Moscow airport, Xiao Fei, why were you so impulsive? Lu Yan was still in shock. The two waited in the VIP lounge for the plane to leave. Unlike other people who eloped, they didn't bring anything. Xiao Fei didn't even bring his phone. Lu Yan, on the other hand, simply packed her luggage. She carried a black bag with some passports and US dollars inside. Which eye of yours saw me being impulsive? Xiao Fei crossed his arms and looked at Lu Yan calmly. I don't think it's appropriate for you to fight with your father. Lu Yan said helplessly. That's my business. You don't have to be nervous, come on. You're like this because of me. How can I not be nervous? Lu Yan rolled her eyes. Okay, let's stop talking about this. Let's think about where to go. Xiao Fei didn't want to talk about this with Lu Yan and changed the topic. You can't go anywhere. Look at you. You don't even have a passport. How can you go abroad? Lu Yan looked at him from head to toe. His pockets were even cleaner than his face. Don't you have many passports in your bag? Just give me one. Xiao Fei said casually as he chewed his gum. You. Lu Yan was defeated by him. Of course, she had several passports in her bag. She often disguised herself to avoid enemies and sometimes pretended to be a man, so she had many passports with her. Xiao Fei knew her well. Xiao Fei, I'm not kidding. This isn't a game. It's not too late for you to go back now. Lu Yan tried to persuade him seriously. Yan, you're smart. You should know that my father is never easy to talk to. After what happened just now, do you think he'll forgive me if I go back now? Xiao Fei chuckled. Chapter 2434. You're his son, okay. Even a vicious tiger won't eat its cubs. Plus, it's not a big mistake. You haven't left Moscow yet, right? Your father loves you the most. Go back and apologize to him. Don't mess around with me, Lu Yan tried to persuade him calmly. Apologize. Are you kidding me? What did I do wrong? Okay, let's go to Mauritius. I heard the weather there is nice and there are a lot of wild animals. Before Lu Yan could say anything, Xiao Fei pushed her toward the international flight lane. Xiao Fei. You're not going on a vacation. You're going on a run with me. Do you understand? You know I have a lot of enemies. Maybe as soon as we land, we'll be shot dead on the streets. Lu Yan looked serious. I know, so, you're not afraid of death. Lu Yan tried to calm herself down and reconfirm Xiao Fei's feelings. Yan. I'm not good at sweet talk, so I'll only say it once. Listen carefully. I won't let you run away alone and face so many dangers and assassinations. I'm willing to wander around with you. At worst, we'll die. People don't live forever anyway, so what does it matter when we die? Xiao Fei said casually. But Lu Yan's heart was in turmoil. She had never thought that there would actually be someone who was willing to accompany her, to live such a hellish life together with her. Lu Yan, who was always as strong as iron, had tears in her eyes. What's with that expression? Are you touched? Xiao Fei was not used to seeing Lu Yan so serious, so he teased her. Psycho Xiao, do you really have to be like this? You know how hard it has been for me all these years. I've been holding back my longing and didn't dare to look for my sister because I didn't want to disturb her peaceful life. To me, being an ordinary person is the greatest happiness. You're not an ordinary person, but as the young master, you have the support of your family and have never had to worry about food and clothing. You're different from me. I can lose my head at any moment, so you won't be happy with me, Lu Yan said in a choked voice. There are many definitions of happiness. To me, being able to be with you is the greatest happiness. Yan, from now on, we are one. If we live together. If we die together. However, the problem we are facing now is, I have nothing with me. I have no money. I am no longer the young master and I have no power to protect me. So, do you want to have a husband who lives off you by your side? Xiao Fei cracked a joke, which was rare of him. Lu Yan's tears turned into laughter. Hurry up and answer me. I've already given you my whole life. Can't you give me a response? Xiao Fei asked. Don't worry. I don't dare to say anything else, but I have money. I can't spend it all in my next life. Let's go, I'll take care of you. You'll have meat to eat and wine to drink. Most importantly, life is very exciting, and violence will happen all the time, Lu Yan joked with him. Seeing her in a better mood, Xiao Fei put his arm around her shoulders. So let's go, I want to go first class. Xiao Fei, who usually looked cold, was very likable when he was acting cute. Lu Yan knew he had made up his mind, so she didn't argue with him. The two took their fake passports and left Moscow in a hurry. Inside the Qiao Manor Master, the three young masters have left Moscow and are on a plane to Mauritius. A subordinate reported. Hearing this, Xiao Fei's father kicked over the table, his face livid. Chapter 24:35. He is no longer the third young master. Our Qiao family no longer has such a disappointing son, Xiao Fei's father scolded angrily. Xiao Nan smiled proudly. He had planned to get rid of Xiao Fei one step at a time. He didn't expect that Xiao Fei would betray his family for that woman and anger his father. What a pleasant surprise. After comforting his father for a while, Xiao Nan walked out. His confidant immediately came forward and lowered his voice. Master, should we send someone to attack them in Mauritius? Isn't this a good opportunity? There's no need for that. Not to mention the fact that the people we send may not succeed, just the people outside who are chasing after them are enough to make them suffer. So, we just have to watch the show. If we rush for success now and leave any evidence behind, wouldn't we be shooting ourselves in the foot? After the incident where Xiao Fei was shot last time, Xiao had become more cautious. It wasn't easy to achieve today's situation, and it was so beneficial to him. Why would he do something that could easily make people talk about him? Okay, Master. Then we won't make any moves and will report their whereabouts to you. Inside a hotel in Los Angeles, United States. Ning Ning, are we going to stay in this hotel forever? It's so expensive. Why don't you come back to China with me? There are a lot of empty villas at home. Tang Chuan looked at Qin Ning with a smile. Since Qin Ning quarreled with her father, the two had been staying in a 5-star hotel. Qin Ning booked a suite. They each had their own room and there were bodyguards outside to protect them in shifts. So, even if Tang Chuan couldn't resist, he really couldn't do anything more intimate with Qin Ning. It was early in the morning and he didn't have to go to work. It was such a boring weekend. Tang Chuan, who liked to sleep in, woke up early. After taking a shower, he put on a bathrobe and went to Qin Ning's room to talk about returning to China. What? It's only been a few days and you're already wavering. Qin Ning stared at Tang Chuan. I'm just bored. You're in a cold war with your father now, and he doesn't want you to interfere too much with the company. You can't do much at the company except drink tea and read the newspaper every day. I feel sorry for you. Why don't we surrender? I'll become an American citizen. Tang Chuan suggested again. Can you not be so spineless? Qin Ning looked at him speechlessly. For the sake of my wife, I can lose my backbone. I've always been a man who understands the big picture. Tang Chuan walked over with a grin. He lay down beside her and the two of them were face to face. They were extremely close. It made Qin Ning feel quite awkward. Tang Chuan, what do you want to do? Qin Ning blinked shyly. What else can I do? I'm satisfied with hugging you like this. What else? Last time, I couldn't help but press you against the wall. Someone screamed, and the bodyguards immediately came in. Did you think I did something to you? It made everyone feel awkward. Tang Chuan blushed with shame. It's good that you know. Behave yourself. Qin Ning pursed her lips and smiled. Wife, I've been very obedient, okay? I've been so obedient, eating and drinking with you here. I've never left your side. Shouldn't you give me some benefits? Otherwise, I'll be so pitiful. Tang Chuan pouted. Qin Ning leaned over and kissed him gently on the corner of his mouth. Damn, I'm so disappointed. That's it. Tang Chuan didn't seem very satisfied and looked like he wanted more. Chapter 24:36. What else do you want? Don't push your luck, okay? Qin Ning laughed out of anger. You're so insincere. I've spent so much time with you. I ran away from home just to be with you. I can't get used to hamburgers and cola, but I can't help it. I can't help but have no friends. Tang Chuan made it sound like he was wronged. Oh, is someone complaining? Qin Ning was amused. Don't try to change the subject. I'm not complaining. I just think, you're not sweet enough. Pfft, you. Although Qin Ning said that, she still moved closer to him. She wrapped her arms around Tang Chuan's neck and steadied him. This time, Tang Chuan took the opportunity to pull Qin Ning into his arms and respond passionately. The two kissed passionately. Suddenly, the bodyguard burst into the room. "Miss Qin Ning, your father." The bodyguard didn't even finish his sentence before he stopped. After all, he didn't expect to see such an erotic scene. "Fuck, why is it you again? Why did you come in here for no reason? Do I have a grudge against you?" Tang Chuan turned around and looked at the bodyguard. He had the urge to kill him. "Miss Qin Ning, your father is here." The bodyguard stammered. "Huh? Where?" Qin Ning suddenly stood up and awkwardly pushed Tang Chuan away. "He's at the door." The bodyguard pointed. At this time, before the bodyguard could say anything, Qin Ning's father strode into the room. He didn't expect to see such a scene. Tang Chuan's bathrobe was wide open, revealing a large portion of his chest. He was sitting on Qin Ning's bed. Qin Ning was wearing a silk nightgown. Her hair was messy and her cheeks were flushed. "Daddy, why are you here?" Qin Ning asked embarrassedly. Qin Ning's father looked at the two of them and his face immediately darkened. "In order to fight against me, you two would rather stay in a hotel than go home?" he asked. Neither of them answered. "Then you two spend all day together, but you don't talk about marriage. Are you waiting for a shotgun wedding?" Qin Ning's father asked. Daddy, it's not like that. You misunderstood." Qin Ning hurriedly tried to explain. Tang Chuan took over the conversation, got off the bed, and said with a smile, "Uncle, well, you can understand it that way, so you don't have to force the two of us. Otherwise, when your grandson is born, and the two of us are still not married because of you, then wouldn't the child be unregistered? How pitiful. You dare. If that's the case, I'll chop you up first." Qin Ning's father's face darkened. Tang Chuan, "Daddy, anyway, don't even think about becoming a citizen. Tang Chuan has already agreed to marry into our family because of me. It's already hard enough for him to bear the blame and fall out with his family. We can't continue to force him. I won't let Tang Chuan do something against his will just to marry me." The Tang family has a century-old ancestral temple in China. Do you know how serious this kind of behavior is for him? All these years in the States, I thought you were a democratic person. I didn't expect you to have such a stubborn and domineering side. My brother supports me on this matter as well. If you don't believe me, you can call him and ask him. So, whether you remove me from my position as a director of the company or don't give me any money, I can't agree to your rude request. Qin Ning seemed like she was going to fight a long battle with her father. In short, her attitude was very firm and didn't give her father a chance to speak. Chapter 24:37. Qin Ning's father looked at his daughter and finally sighed. "Let's put your nationality aside for now. The most important thing right now is for you two to get married in America. Our company's new product will be on the market next month. If you get married before then, it'll be very beneficial. It'll drive the stock market up a lot, so I'll make sure the wedding is grand. However, Ning Ning and I are Catholic, so this kid has to become a Catholic. Then, we'll hold the wedding in a church. I'll ask Lyle to officiate the ceremony for you." Catholic. Tang Chuan was dumbfounded again. This father-in-law of his really had a lot of things to do. What do you think? That shouldn't be a problem, right? Qin Ning's father looked at Tang Chuan and asked with a straight face. "Daddy, you said you wouldn't force me. Why are you still here?" Qin Ning was furious at her father. "Religion isn't too much of a problem, is it?" Qi Ning's father didn't think it was inappropriate. Uncle, what's the original plan? Becoming a Catholic isn't a big deal, and it's not a problem because I'm an atheist. However, my mother has been a Buddhist for many years and we have a Buddhist statue at home. I've been influenced by her since I was young and I'm more or less closer to Buddhism. I'm really not used to it, haha. Tang Chuan explained with a smile. You keep saying you love our Ning, but you're always looking for excuses. You little brat, I don't think you want to marry my daughter on purpose. You're toying with her feelings, aren't you? Qi Ning's father was a little angry. Daddy, I'm old enough to know who's lying to me and who's sincere. You shouldn't interfere with my business, okay? Qi Ning suddenly felt very tired. Ning, I'm doing this for your own good. Your mother passed away when you were young, so I had to be both a father and a mother. I had to raise you and take care of the company. You know how much I've loved you over the years. No father would harm his own child. Now that you're all grown up, you think I'm old and confused, so you don't want to listen to me anymore, right? Qi Ning's father looked at his daughter sadly. Qi Ning's heart ached when she heard her father's words. It wasn't easy for the father and daughter to rely on each other for survival all these years. No matter how much money they had, there were many things that money couldn't buy. Although her father had some close female friends because of her, they were all his girlfriends. No woman had ever entered the Qin family. He was afraid that Qi Ning would feel uncomfortable. He had to admit that he had sacrificed a lot for her, that's all I have to say. You two can think about it yourselves. In the end, Qi Ning's father left sadly. Qi Ning's mood instantly soured. Ning, don't be sad. I'll become a Catholic, as long as we can get married. Tang Chuan squatted down and put his hands on her thighs to comfort her. It has nothing to do with you. I'm the one who's upset. Big brother called me yesterday and told me that your mother went to his company. They didn't have a good conversation. I know you've done a lot for me. You can't always listen to Daddy, Qi Ning explained patiently. No, to me, as long as I can marry you, everything else is just a small matter. Tang Chuan reached out and held her hand. South Hill Manor, sis, what's wrong with you? You talk less and less. Is something on your mind? After lunch, Little Bean looked at her sister and asked. I'm thinking about something. Pudding leaned against the window and looked outside with a serious expression. What is it? Why are you so worried? Little Bean was curious. She tilted her head and continued to ask her sister. Chapter 24:38. Haven't you noticed that handsome Sue hasn't been coming to see us lately? Pudding said listlessly. Oh, I thought it was something serious. Sis, you're overthinking it. Handsome Sue is probably busy lately. He's been treating us like his own since we were born. How could he suddenly leave us out? Little Bean thought that her sister's idea wasn't very reliable. I didn't say that handsome Sue ignored us, okay? What I meant was, is it possible that handsome Sue is in a bad mood lately? Think about it. When Uncle Tang was at home, he could still hang out with him for a drink or something. Now that Uncle Tang has been kidnapped by Auntie and gone to the States, and Uncle Wei has a family, handsome Sue is alone and has nothing to do after work. Pudding felt bad for Su Yu. The twins loved this man as much as they loved him, second only to Qin Chu. Now that you mention it, I kind of understand. How about we call him? I'll call him later and ask him to pick us up. Do you want us to accompany him? Little Bean asked, blinking her big eyes. It's no use. No matter how much we accompany him, we can't make up for his loneliness. After all, we're just children in his eyes. We can only give him the feeling of family. You're saying that handsome Sue needs love. Pudding finally understood. Yes, he does. I think that in a person's life, family, friendship, and love are all indispensable. Otherwise, it would be an imperfect life and there would be regrets. Pudding sighed softly. Sis, you're only 3 years old. How can you talk about life with me? Pudding was speechless. Every time her sister talked about such profound topics, the twins were getting less and less in sync. Twins. What happened to the tacit understanding? After Pudding expressed that she wasn't interested in her sister's topic, she turned around and left. Then, she sneaked into her room and video-called Suyu. It was almost time to get off work, and Suyu was about to pack up and leave. Little Bean. Suyu smiled as he looked at the toddler sitting across from him. Handsome Sue. What are you doing? Getting ready to get off work. What are you going to do after work? Pudding asked. Go home. Maybe, Suyu thought for a moment and answered. No dates recently. No. Ever since Tang Chuan, that guy who values women over friends, disappeared without a trace, I've become a loner. Suyu sneered. Poor thing. Do you want me and my sister to accompany you? Little Bean smiled sweetly. It's okay, you two don't have to worry about me. I'm a grown man. I'm pretty tired from the first half of the day, so I'll go to bed after I shower. If you're hungry, you can ask someone to cook for you or deliver food, Suyu politely declined with a smile. Don't you miss me? Little Bean began to act cute. I do. Don't I send you guys WeChat messages every day? Suyu coaxed. But I haven't seen you for the past few days. I don't care, I want ice cream. Little Bean continued. How about ice cream? Suyu was a little embarrassed. Why? Handsome Sue, don't you love me anymore? Little Bean pouted. No, the problem is. Your mommy told me not to take you to eat desserts. She said she wants to control your weight. You're more than 4 pounds heavier than Pudding, right? Little Bean, I'm still young, I don't need to maintain my figure. My mommy is too nervous and always tells you what to do. You don't have to listen to her. Little Bean said with a straight face. Really? If you don't listen to me, who are you going to listen to? Huamin had just come back from work. When he went upstairs to change, he passed by his daughter's room and heard her talking loudly. He didn't expect to catch her red-handed. Chapter 2439. Mommy, why didn't you knock before coming in? You're so rude. Little Bean was embarrassed. I'm rude. Even if I'm rude, I won't talk bad about Mommy behind her back like some other babies. Huamin couldn't help but laugh. I was just joking with Handsome Sue. Ha! How could I talk bad about Mommy? She's the most beautiful woman in the world. She's smart, gentle, kind, and considerate. Little Bean had always been good at flattery. Stop, stop. Huamin raised his hand and gestured for Little Bean to stop. Little Bean immediately shut up. In this family, Huamin was the absolute authority. Even Chin Chu had to give in to him. Little Bean didn't dare to mess with her mommy, so she stood there obediently and didn't dare to speak. Huamin walked over and picked up his phone. He glanced at Suyu who was sitting across from him. Little Bean immediately felt awkward. Ahem. She's video chatting with you, yeah. Who else? Who do you think Gao Buiyuan is? Suyu joked. Little Bean immediately became angry. Handsome Su, don't sell me out. I'm just joking. Suyu laughed. I can't even joke. What? Little Bean was getting more and more embarrassed to talk about her and Gao Buiyuan. You're still at work? Huamin looked at Suyu's office behind him. Yeah, I'm just about to get off work. Okay. Hurry up and go home. Otherwise, there will be a traffic jam during rush hour. When I came back, I saw that Hishi Road was full of cars from north to south. Huamin reminded him. Okay. I'm hanging up. Suyu nodded. Bye. Bye. After the two said goodbye, Huamin hung up the video call for Little Bean and put the phone on the bedside table. Little Bean, you can't video chat with Uncle Suyu. He's busy sometimes. You can do it on weekends or at night. Okay, Mommy. Little Bean nodded obediently. Good girl. Mommy's going to get changed. Huamin patted Little Bean's head lovingly. Mommy. Little Bean suddenly said. Yeah. Mommy. Don't you think that handsome Su is pitiful? Little Bean asked innocently. Pitiful? Why would you think that? What's so pitiful about Uncle Su? Huamian was curious about Little Bean's sudden question. Look, every time you guys get together, it's always one-on-one. Even Uncle Jishin is wooing Auntie Bella. Handsome Su is the only one who's always alone. He doesn't fit in with you guys, and he's even tortured by your public displays of affection from time to time. I think it's so unfair. On Valentine's Day, Daddy prepared a sea of flowers for Mommy. It was so romantic. All the women in the city were jealous. My sister and I wanted to go with Handsome Su, but Handsome Su didn't let us go. I think he must be very uncomfortable being alone on a day like that. So, what are you trying to say, Little Bean? Huamin was slightly touched by his daughter's words. So, Mommy, can you think of a way to help Handsome Su find a girlfriend? Little Bean asked. Me? Help Su find a girlfriend. Huamin didn't know what to say. She didn't know anyone, and even if she did, Su wouldn't agree. Would he be willing to accept a girlfriend she introduced to him? Mommy, you don't want to. You don't want Handsome Su to find someone he likes. Little Bean asked seriously, you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.